Chapter 1207. Hahuan School's reputation had been declining over the years. Today, it had once again gathered the attention of all the people in Shang province. However, under such circumstances, the experts from the various major powers who had come to Hahuan School all felt an indescribable pressure. However, the ordinary disciples from the various major powers who had come to attend the Hahuan School's inauguration ceremony were unable to feel this indescribable pressure. Some of the younger disciples from the various large factions were even quite curious. After all, the He-Huan sect's reputation in the entire Shang prefecture was involuntarily a little open. It was rumored that the direct disciples of the He-Huan sect were all handsome men and beautiful women. After entering Hahuan School, the younger generation of the various major powers, regardless of their gender, all maintained a certain distance. However, some of the younger females from the various major powers were too embarrassed to get too close and could only maintain their distance. After all, reputation was the most important thing for females. Early in the morning, under the guidance of the Hahuan School's disciples, the spectators from the various major powers were all invited to the plaza of Hahuan School. The seat of honor was naturally arranged for the Sa Meng Sword sect. Below the Sa Meng Sword sect were the major powers in Shang province whose reputation was second only to the Sa Meng Sword sect. However, this time, the seats of honor of the various major powers were all elites of the younger generation. Amongst them, the most attractive one was naturally the Sa Meng Sword sect's Mu Jianchen, causing the hearts of countless females to be moved and unable to take their eyes off him. However, Mu Jianchen sat on the seat of honor without moving an inch towards those females who were secretly casting glances at him. He did not pay any attention to them at all. As time passed, noisy and lively noises resounded throughout Hahuan School. Hahuan School's disciples dressed in festive clothing filled the plaza. The handsome males and charming females attracted everyone's attention. Hahuan School's elders and protectors were among the crowd, occasionally welcoming the congratulatory guests. Hahuan School's new sect master, sect supervisor, has arrived. Just as the festive atmosphere reached its peak and soared into the clouds, a clear and melodious voice resounded throughout the plaza. When this voice rang out, the noise in the entire square immediately decreased. Everyone's eyes looked towards the center of the square. On the seat of honor, Mu Jianchen's gaze followed the voice and looked towards the center of the square. Following the gazes of the crowd, they saw a beautiful woman wearing a golden cloud dress slowly walking over from the side of the square, surrounded by dozens of people. The beautiful woman was wearing a golden robe embroidered with a few rich peonies. Her face was full of smiles and her eyes were charming. This girl was Zhao Lu of the Hahuan School. She was also the new school master of the Hahuan School. Today, she was in high spirits. Her cloud-shaped thousand-water dress that dragged on the ground outlined a graceful curve. She was like a young girl, causing ripples in the hearts of young men. Beside Zhao Lu, Jing Anteo followed closely behind. Today, he was dressed exquisitely, and his broad face appeared even more handsome. His eyes were as deep and vast as the stars. A smile hung on Zheng Anteo's face as he cupped his hands towards the people he was familiar with from the various large factions. Today, I would like to thank everyone for coming to the Hahuan School to observe the ceremony. This old man represents the Hahuan School and would like to express his gratitude to everyone. Please forgive us for our lack of hospitality. At the head of the square, a one-armed old man loudly spoke. His voice resounded throughout the plaza. It was Earth Leizuan, who had one of his arms chopped off by Du Xiaofu back then. Upon hearing Earth Leizuan's words, the various factions around the square began to congratulate the new schoolmaster. After all, the Hahuan School was an absolute large faction in Shangzhou. However, there were also some factions that were watching quietly. They did not show much of a commotion. As she listened to the congratulatory voices from the surroundings that were like stormy waves that reached the clouds, Zhao Lu was as charming as the moon. Her eyes were filled with charm that tugged at one's heart. The ceremony for the new schoolmaster will now begin. Earth Leizuan glanced at the bustling plaza as his voice resounded throughout the Hahuan School. Boom! In an instant, the atmosphere in the entire plaza reached its peak. The voices of the people were boiling and resounded through the clouds. With a smile in her eyes, Zhao Lu's figure flashed and immediately leapt to the center of the plaza. Her eyes were filled with smiles as she looked at her surroundings. All the surrounding Hehuan school disciples raised their heads and were about to respectfully greet her. At the same time, a sharp sound of breaking wind streaked across the sky amidst the boiling clamor. It carried the faint roar of a dragon and tiger as it suddenly resounded through the clouds. A purple-gold thunderbolt streaked across the sky above the crowd and directly landed on the plaza. Crack crack. As the purple-gold thunderbolt landed, the entire plaza suddenly trembled. The plaza, which was clearly reinforced by a symbol array, began to crack and spread in all directions. The purple-gold light retracted. It was a purple-gold broadsword with the bones of a tiger and the body of a dragon. It was a peerless divine weapon that emitted a terrifying aura. It was as if the four divine beasts, Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Phoenix, and Black Tortoise, were entrenched on its left and right. The vast aura that emanated from the peerless divine weapon caused the clouds in all directions to move. The Dao tools and talisman weapons in countless people's bodies were secretly trembling within their divine watchtowers. What a divine weapon! Everyone's gazes landed on the purple-gold divine weapon in unison. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. When the gazes of some people from the Hehuan school and a few existences from the surrounding large factions came into contact with the purple-gold broadsword, their eyes suddenly trembled. Their gazes seemed to have been electrocuted as they immediately shot towards the sky. Whoosh! Under the gazes of many people, a purple-red figure slowly streaked across the sky in front of them. He was neither fast nor slow. Under the gazes of the entire plaza, he directly landed on the plaza as if he was today's main character. How lively! It's better to come at the right time than to come early. The figure landed. It was a young man with a tall and straight figure. He appeared to be around 22 or 23 years old. He did not have the kind of stunning handsomeness, but he had a kind of fortitude and determination that ordinary people rarely had. The gaze within his clear eyes was deep and vast. His faint and clear laughter also slowly resounded across the sky the moment he landed on the ground. It's him! At the head of the plaza, Mu Jianchen, who was seated in the middle of the Sa Meng sword sect, was not moved by anyone present. He was the current alliance head of the Purifying Evil Alliance in the Shang province. When his gaze saw the young man who had landed on the ground, his figure immediately stood up. The sharp expression within his eyes surged with a smile. It's the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. Following the arrival of the tall and straight young man, the entire plaza temporarily fell into a special atmosphere. However, soon after, the Hehuan school disciples within the crowd cried out in astonishment. When the name of the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, spread, the entire plaza immediately turned into an uproar. Demon King, Du Xiaofu. Didn't he escape from the Hehuan school? Why has he returned? The Hehuan school disciples were stunned. The shock that the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, had given them in this plaza back then was really a little too great. Demon King, Du Xiaofu. It is indeed him. At this moment, among the people from the various large factions in the Shang province, there were also experts who had been to the Tianhuang continent back then. As they looked at the tall and straight young man, they had also heard about the matter of the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, causing a great commotion in the Hehuan school back then. At this moment, the appearance of the little Demon King immediately caused quite a number of people to quietly reveal a smile. It was likely that there would be a lively show to watch soon. Junior sect leader, he has come. Should we? As Mu Jianchen stood up from the Sa Meng sword sect's group, an old man behind him softly said. Mu Jianchen looked at the purple-robed young man in the plaza and waved his hand to the back. He gently sat down and said softly, "It seems that things aren't like what the Hehuan school said. However, since he has come, it means that he has confidence. If we interfere, then he wouldn't be the Demon King, Du Xiaofu." Hearing this, the old man didn't say anything and quietly sat beside Mu Jianchen. A pair of deep eyes also looked at Du Xiaofu with interest. The entire plaza was stunned. Zhao Lu, King Enteo, Earthlezuan, and the other experts of the Hehuan school all had disbelief in their eyes. How can that demon still be alive? This is impossible. No human puppet has escaped. Earth Lezuan shook his head. In order to comprehend the lightning divine ability, he entered the seal array and comprehended it at the edge of the seal array. In the end, he encountered the earth-shattering heavenly lightning. If he didn't escape quickly, he wouldn't even know how he died. How can that brat still be alive? Zhao Lu, Xingenteo, and the others were also shocked. Then they secretly changed their expressions. They absolutely didn't expect that today. They were afraid that some of Su Muxin's remaining forces would come out to cause trouble. However, they didn't expect that the one who came out in the end would be the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. He was also in the forbidden area and wasn't harmed at all. Brat, this time you're dead. Suddenly, Earth Lezuan, who had only one arm, opened his eyes wide when he saw his enemy. Last time, when Du Xiaofu cut off his arm, he was furious and thought about it. It was one matter that his opponent's strength wasn't ordinary. It was another matter that he underestimated his opponent at the beginning. When he realized that he couldn't underestimate his opponent, he was already a step too late. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been defeated by that brat, and in such a miserable manner. Boom! At this moment, Earth Lezuan's voice was like a sudden clap of thunder. Resplendent yellow lightning runes overflowed in all directions, erupting with terrifying lightning power. Monstrous lightning suddenly spread out from Earth Lezuan's body and swept out in all directions, shaking the entire square. The sky changed color in an instant. The wind and clouds surged, as if a storm was coming. Earth Lezuan was a chaotic element martial lord. Although he only had one arm at the moment, it didn't affect his strength too much. Without a doubt, he was still a top expert in this world. The lightning profound that Earth Lezuan cultivated was so powerful that it shocked the experts from the various major forces in the surroundings. This time, Earth Lezuan attacked violently, wanting to get rid of that demon in the shortest time possible. Today was a big day for the Hehuan school. All the major forces in Shangzhou had come. If he didn't get rid of that demon as soon as possible, the consequences would be dire. Rumble! In a short moment, Earth Lezuan's aura erupted. The resplendent yellow lightning on his body destroyed the void, and majestic celestial chi swept out from his body at the same time. At this moment, Earth Lezuan's chaotic element martial lord aura surged out without holding back. Finally, it condensed into a huge resplendent yellow lightning ball in midair. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. Resplendent yellow lightning arcs shuttled back and forth in the sky. Talisman runes accompanied the yellow lightning arcs shuttling through the yellow thunderclouds in midair, giving off a demonic feeling. It also brought a destructive pressure down from the sky. This Earth Lezuan is really not weak. The moment the lightning ball condensed, the sound of people sucking in cold air rose and fell one after another. They were all shocked. The lightning ball hovered in the sky, causing lightning to flash and thunder to rumble in the square. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Brat, you still dare to come back? Then die. Earth Lezuan's eyes were filled with lightning and killing intent. He roared angrily and shook his only arm. The terrifying lightning ball carried resplendent yellow lightning arcs and a destructive energy as it swept out. It was like a falling star, ruthlessly descending towards Du Xiaofu. Rumble! Wherever the lightning ball passed, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the square. Many cracks exploded in the ground. The terrifying lightning ball collapsed, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to split. Earth Lezuan of the chaotic element martial lord level is really not to be trifled with. He has the intention to kill. Let's see how far Du Xiaofu has come from the Demon King. Many people in the formation of the various forces gasped for Du Xiaofu at this moment. This time, it seemed to be slow. However, it was as fast as lightning. Earth Lezuan's attack this time was at full strength. He wanted to suppress and finish off Du Xiaofu with a single move. At this moment, the countless gazes in the surroundings were shocked. They saw the destructive lightning ball land on Du Xiaofu's body and directly envelop him. Rumble! The lightning ball directly smashed onto the spot where Du Xiaofu was. Immediately, earth-shaking thunder exploded in the square. Countless lightning arcs wreaked havoc, causing the ground to crack and ravine, causing the square to become extremely chaotic. The various forces and Hahuan School's experts immediately set up a rune light screen around the square, blocking the chaos outside. The terrifying lightning exploded, causing a huge crater to appear in the square that was reinforced by the runes, causing everyone to be shocked. Even if a Nirvana Martial Reverend encountered such a terrifying attack, it would be extremely difficult for him to resist it. Who would have thought that the Earthly Thunder Reverend would be so formidable? One big chapter. I don't know why I'm writing so slowly today, but I've been writing. Little U accepts all the disdain and ridicule, but I'll continue to write. At the very least, I won't be late. Chapter 1208. Seeing Du Xiaofu get attacked, the countless gazes in the surroundings and the various factions of Shang province were filled with shock and nervousness. Earth Leizuan's terrifying lightning attack was clear to most of the people in the surroundings that they would not be able to withstand it. Even chaotic element martial saints would have to suck in a breath of cold air. Earth Leizuan used his full strength right from the start. Although that Du Xiaofu is somewhat famous, he is still of the younger generation. I'm afraid he will not be able to withstand it. A yellow-robed old man behind an extraordinary youth in the lineup of a major faction whose status was only below that of the Saman Sword sect said with interest, "Demon King Du Xiaofu is a little too arrogant. What a pity." Not far away, a middle-aged man with bright eyes said with some regret. With his perception and vision, he could see that no matter how strong Du Xiaofu was, he would not be able to withstand Leizuan's killing intent. That brat is dead for sure this time. On the plaza, among the group of elders and experts from the Hahuan School who were clustered behind Zhao Lu, there was an old woman with a sinister expression. She looked at the area of the plaza where the resplendent yellow lightning had exploded and sneered. "Kill him directly and prevent any future troubles." A beautiful woman beside Zhao Lu had an extraordinary aura and temperament. She gave off a fiery aura, but her long and narrow eyes were filled with a cold, killing intent that could not be concealed. Within the lineup of the Saman Sword sect, beside Mu Jianchen, the old man with a vigorous aura looked at the plaza and frowned slightly. He said softly, "Demon King Du Xiaofu is too arrogant. I'm afraid the consequences will be serious this time." Mu Jianchen smiled faintly and stared at the chaotic space where the lightning had exploded. However, he was not worried at all. He shook his head and replied to the old man beside him, "You guys are underestimating him too much. The head of the 12 heroes, Demon King Du Xiaofu, is not him if he is not arrogant. Back then he also killed Dragon 9. I feel that his strength has reached a new height and is even pushing me further and further away from him. He will definitely not die." Hearing this, many people from the Saman Sword sect were stunned. They did not expect that the young sect master's evaluation of the Demon King Du Xiaofu would be so high. I knew that he would be fine. While many people from the Saman Sword sect were stunned, Mu Jianchen suddenly smiled. His sharp gaze was filled with a smile that he rarely revealed. As Mu Jianchen's voice faded, the yellow lightning that had exploded in the plaza gradually dissipated. Finally, under the gazes of the crowd, a figure faintly appeared amidst the sizzling electric arcs. Then a figure emerged from it. When he saw that figure, Leizuan's gaze fiercely trembled. A tall and straight figure clearly appeared in the plaza. His entire body was surrounded by resplendent yellow lightning, which was absorbed into his body. He waved his hand and flicked his robe as he slightly raised his head. That tall and straight youth was none other than Du Xiaofu. Who else could it be? Leizuan's lightning divine ability was comprehended from the heavenly earth-shattering thunder, and Du Xiaofu was already the master of the heavenly earth-shattering thunder. Leizuan's strength was not ordinary, but Du Xiaofu's cultivation had skyrocketed. Just his talisman Dao alone was already at the late 8-star primordial chaos realm. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's physical body had already reached the 3rd level of the golden-winged great rock body tempering technique, tempering the divine body. Therefore, Du Xiaofu was not afraid of Leizuan at all. If it was a primordial chaos martial honorable who did not cultivate lightning divine ability, Du Xiaofu might still be afraid. However, Leizuan cultivated lightning divine ability and was also related to the heavenly earth-shattering thunder. This undoubtedly bumped into Du Xiaofu. When Du Xiaofu raised his face with a faint smile, Lei Zuin's heart trembled violently. At the same time, an inexplicable fear crept up from the depths of his heart. At the head of the plaza, Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo, as well as the two beautiful women beside them, secretly looked at each other with cold fluctuations in their eyes. Du Xiaofu flicked his sleeves, shook off a few strands of dust, and slowly took 2 steps forward. Under the stunned and blazing gazes of the entire plaza, Du Xiaofu looked at Lei Zuin. His tone was neither fast nor slow, revealing a faint contempt. He softly said, "You always use this move. Can you change it to something new? This move is already useless against me." Hearing Du Xiaofu's slightly contemptuous words, Lei Zuin's face had already turned completely gloomy. The corners of his mouth fiercely twitched a few times on his old face. Lei Zuin's eyes secretly surged with coldness, revealing a sinister look. Boom! Suddenly, Lei Zuin launched another attack. As the profound energy in his body surged, his figure turned into a dazzling yellow lightning, like a lightning spear. Yellow light shone resplendently. Lei Zuin's figure was like a lightning spear that streaked across space. With a thunderous roar, he directly shot towards Du Xiaofu. The thunderous figure was closing in at a rapid speed. However, at the same time that Lei Zuin's figure moved, Du Xiaofu's figure also moved. In the next instant, the faint lightning glow in Du Xiaofu's eyes retracted. Immediately, a dazzling and resplendent secret symbol pattern swept out. An extremely astonishing energy swept out, shaking one's soul. Qi-la! In this instant, it was as if there was 1,000 rays of light shooting out from Du Xiaofu's eyes. The strange light from the secret symbol pattern overlapped. In the end, like a light screen, it enveloped the surrounding space, and instantly enveloped Lei Zuin's body. The yellow lightning-like great landmine venerable was as fast as lightning. The instant the light screen from the secret symbol pattern in Du Xiaofu's eyes shone on him, Lei Zuin's sinister eyes suddenly turned sluggish. His figure speed also immediately decreased greatly, as if he had frozen. The yellow lightning glow on his body also began to dissipate by quite a bit. Du Xiaofu's figure directly appeared in front of Lei Zuin. His speed was as fast as lightning, so fast that not many people saw him. Not good. Elder Lei Zuin, be careful. At this moment, Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo, as well as the two beautiful women, seemed to have discovered something at the same time and immediately shouted. However, it was too late. The Reverend of the Earth Thunder hadn't come back to his senses at all. He seemed to have been deeply affected by the light screen in Du Xiaofu's eyes. With Du Xiaofu's current cultivation of the late 8-star chaotic primordial Tao, the strength of his primordial spirit was extremely strong. Among his peers, there were very few who could be mentioned in the same breath as him. Under Du Xiaofu's mysterious soul eye, Lei Zuin could not dodge at all. The terrifying primordial spirit power was not something he could resist at all. In the next moment, Du Xiaofu's fist, which was covered in golden light, streaked across the space, revealing an overbearing and incomparably arrogant aura. It directly attacked Lei Zuin's chest. Bang! As the fist fell, Lei Zuin's body shattered into a bloody mist. Du Xiaofu's fist had directly smashed him into a bloody mist. A chaotic primordial martial venerable expert's blood splattered on the spot. He had been killed by Du Xiaofu with a single punch. Earth Lei Zuin's body had turned into a bloody mist. He could not be more dead. The appearance of this scene was accompanied by the sound of the energy explosion. When everyone's gazes landed on the tall and straight young man, a chill ran down their spines. Even Zhao Lu, King Anteo, and the other two, who looked at each other in dismay and shouted to warn the Reverend of the Earth Thunder, were momentarily stunned. Demon King Du Xiaofu is already an 8-star chaotic primordial spiritual talisman master. That level of primordial spirit attack is too strong. Earth Lei Zuin doesn't even know how he died. Oh my god, he killed a chaotic primordial martial venerable with a single move. This Demon King Du Xiaofu, is he still a young man? After a brief moment of shock, there were suddenly sounds of astonishment from the lineup of the major forces. He had killed an 8-star chaotic primordial martial venerable with a single punch. With such strength, Who would dare not be moved? Swoosh swoosh. After a brief moment of shock, two terrifying auras swept over. In the void, two auras, one cold and one hot, emerged and instantly enveloped the surrounding space. Boom. The two auras converged and instantly caused the entire square to tremble violently. This aura caused most of the experts from the major forces to tremble for no reason. Whoosh whoosh. Two figures instantly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu, one behind the other. Two vast auras enveloped the square. They were the two beautiful women who had been behind Zhao Lu all this time. One of the two beautiful women was wrapped in blazing flames. The blazing temperature caused the surrounding space to distort, causing one's skin to burn and one's soul to tremble. The other was covered in frost. The icy aura could freeze one's primordial spirit and cause one's body to become sluggish. The coldness that penetrated deep into one's primordial spirit could not be removed. Two peak chaotic primordial martial venerables. Du Xiaofu looked back and forth at the two beautiful women. The auras from the two women were not much weaker than the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Meiling. They were both extremely terrifying peak chaotic primordial martial venerables. The cultivation level of these two women was not much different from his master, Feng Qingyang. He wondered how many years these two women had cultivated. "Kid, you must die today." The frost-covered beautiful woman's voice was as cold as ice, causing one's ears to feel as if they were about to be frozen. The faint, bone-piercing cold aura surged, causing the energy of heaven and earth above the square to be affected. Chapter 1209. Bullying with numbers? Isn't it a little unfair? As the beautiful woman spoke, Mu Jianchen, the leader of the Seimin sword Manchu, stood up. His sword-patterned robe fluttered and a sharp glint shot out from his sharp eyes. Mu Jianchen was very strong. He was the undisputed #1 person in Shangzhou's younger generation. His strength was enough to shake the entire Shangzhou. However, although Mu Jianchen was very strong, there was still a gap between him and some of the top experts in the Hehuan school. However, as the young master of the Seimin sword sect and the leader of the Evil Purifying Alliance, Mu Jianchen's status was very high. With Mu Jianchen's status, he represented the Sa Meng sword sect. As Mu Jianchen stood up and spoke, Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo of the Hehuan school looked at each other in dismay. Their expressions changed. "Young master, you misunderstand. The auspicious time has arrived and the ceremony for the new school master has to be held as soon as possible. This demon king Du Xiaofu came to cause trouble and killed countless experts and disciples of our Hehuan school. Naturally, we can't let him go." Although Zhao Lu was the future school master of the Hehuan school and a peak 8-star Nirvana spirit talisman master, she still had to give face to Mu Jianchen. "I've said it before. Whoever dares to touch the demon king Du Xiaofu is the same as touching me, Mu Jianchen, touching my Seimin sword sect." Mu Jianchen wasn't afraid. His eyes shone with a sharp glint. Hearing Mu Jianchen's words, Zhao Lu's expression darkened. After all, she was the next school master of the Hehuan school. Although the Hehuan school wasn't as powerful as the Seimin sword sect, it was still an old power in Shangzhou. Even with Zhao Lu's cultivation, she far surpassed the current Mu Jianchen. Hehuan school invited all of you here out of goodwill. However, this is a family matter of Hehuan school. Could it be that the Purifying Evil Alliance wants to interfere? Zhao Lu looked at Mu Jianchen and her eyes trembled slightly. Her casual temperament and gaze were still alluring and sharp. She said to Mu Jianchen, "Even if your father, Mu Tianhong, was here, I'm afraid that he would interfere with the family affairs of Hehuan school. He wouldn't dare to speak to me like this." Hee. Mu Jianchen faintly smiled and looked at Zhao Lu. Suddenly his aura violently surged out. He looked at Zhao Lu, and there seemed to be a sword-shaped radiance in his eyes. Runes flashed in his eyes, and his voice suddenly became sharp. He said, "The family affairs of Hehuan school have nothing to do with me, but if anyone dares to besiege the demon king Du Xiaofu today, I, Mu Jianchen, will intervene. What can you do to me?" Rumble. As Mu Jianchen stood up, his aura surged out. Behind him, numerous Seimin sword sect's disciples stood together. Their auras suddenly swept out. Facing the Hehuan school, the Saman Sword Sect's disciples had never been afraid. Looking at the Saman Sword Sect's lineup, Zhao Lu, Jing Anteo, and the other Hahuan school's experts suddenly trembled in their hearts. They weren't really afraid of the Saman Sword Sect's experts. Although everyone was involved in eliminating the demons this time, the various major powers didn't send out any true super experts. At most, each major power would send 1 or 2 super experts to stand guard, and they would be able to protect their own sect's disciples in times of need. Therefore, the various major powers didn't send too many super experts to the Hahuan school. They wouldn't be able to threaten the Hahuan school. However, to the Hahuan school, they weren't afraid of Mu Jianxin's group. Instead, they were afraid of the enormous Saman Sword sect behind Mu Jianxin's group. This was the shocking power of a super sect. At this moment, when the surrounding major sects saw the Saman Sword sect and the Hahuan school clashing in the blink of an eye, their expressions changed inwardly as they observed the situation. Mu Jianxin, I'm the main character today, okay? Can you not steal the limelight? Looking at the scene before them, even the 2 beautiful women at the peak of the Origin Immortal Realm had their attention focused on Mu Jianxin. This made Du Xiaofu unable to help but roar. He was clearly the main character of this matter. Who would have thought that the moment Mu Jianxin opened his mouth, he would attract everyone's attention? Du Xiaofu didn't know why, but he felt a little displeased. I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to deal with their siege, so I had no intention of interfering. Mu Jianxin looked at Du Xiaofu. He raised his sharp gaze and curled his lips. It's just a siege. It's not like I haven't been besieged before. Du Xiaofu's disdainful gaze swept across the 2 beautiful women. He said to Mu Jianxin, "Don't tell me that you think such trash can do anything to me? You're looking down on me." Mu Jianxin's eyebrows twitched as he shot a glance at Du Xiaofu. Then, he withdrew his aura and sat down facing Du Xiaofu. He looked at Zhao Lu, Jing Anteo, and the 2 beautiful women and said, "I won't interfere in this matter. You all continue." Seeing Mu Jianxin's reaction, the Saman Sword sect disciples behind him were stunned. Then, they could only withdraw their auras and quietly follow behind him. Mu Jianxin's reaction made the people of the Hahuan school a little confused. Du Xiaofu also frowned and helplessly rolled his eyes at Mu Jianxin. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu rolled his eyes at Mu Jianxin. Normally, he would only look at the general, Yin Mochen, Ghost Child, Li Yuxiao, Guo Xiaofeng, Qin Ling, and the others. Kill! The 2 beautiful women, one cold and one hot, stared at each other. They didn't hold back and immediately launched an attack. The 2 figures rushed out at the same time, covered in resplendent runes. The 2 figures were like ghosts as they pounced on Du Xiaofu. Their auras shook the void and rumbled. Sizzle! The 2 women attacked at practically the same time. A surging wave of scorching flames and a wave of bone-chilling cold that was enough to shake space locked down the space around Du Xiaofu from the left and right. Then, they violently slammed into Du Xiaofu's body. Rumble! The 2 energies, one cold and one hot, collided and exploded the space. Then, the sound resounded through the clouds. However, Du Xiaofu's figure rushed out like a ghost amidst the explosion of energy. Golden light burst out and his figure fluttered like a god. In an instant he appeared in midair. Du Xiaofu stretched out his hand and waved. The purple-gold heavenly palace that was stabbed into the square immediately flew into the air and was held tightly in his palm. In the next moment, Du Xiaofu's purple-gold heavenly palace soared directly slashed towards the beautiful woman who was using the ice divine ability. It was simple but extremely domineering. Overbearing sword Wei. With a cold gaze, Du Xiaofu directly sent a purple-gold sword light towards the beautiful woman who was emitting the ice divine ability. At this moment, Du Xiaofu attacked ruthlessly. His eyes were filled with coldness. The beautiful woman was also very strong. She was at the peak of the chaotic element martial venerable realm and was almost close to the nirvana martial venerable realm. Her ice divine ability was emitting from her body. Frost filled the void and was extremely cold. It could freeze the primordial spirit and physical body of those who were weaker. 1,000 miles of ice seal. The beautiful woman instantly made her move. A palm print, accompanied by the flickering of the color-changing talisman, erupted with profound qi and turned into a torrent of ice, freezing the void and blocking Du Xiaofu's purple-gold sword light. She also wanted to freeze the sword light and shatter Du Xiaofu's sword light in the void. The beautiful woman had probably underestimated the power of Du Xiaofu's sword. With Du Xiaofu's peak transcendent martial venerable realm cultivation, if he used his full strength without relying on the talisman Dao, just the strength of his physical body alone would be enough to destroy someone of the same cultivation level. It would be easy for him to fight against a chaotic element martial venerable. Moreover, he was using the purple-gold heavenly palace and the overbearing sword Wei. Chi. The frozen void was directly shattered by Du Xiaofu's sword. The purple-gold sword light was like a purple-gold thunderbolt that cut through the void and swept towards the beautiful woman with a terrifying sword intent. The beautiful woman was surprised. In an instant, the runes around her body surged and froze the space. Runes spread out from a huge ice pillar and condensed in front of her. However, the ice pillar could not stop the purple-gold sword light and was directly shattered in midair. Dang. The beautiful woman's delicate body staggered a few steps back. Her eyes were cold. She knew that she had misjudged her opponent. The lesson of Lei Zuan's mistake was in front of her. Walala. Almost at the same time, the beautiful woman who cultivated the fire divine ability had already attacked. Her graceful figure floated in midair and swooped down. Her hair hung loosely, and her eyes shot out waves of fire runes. However, she revealed an icy cold and ghastly aura. A large amount of blazing flames rolled and turned into a wave that directly engulfed Du Xiaofu. Facing the rolling wave of flames, Du Xiaofu stood in the void and suddenly turned his head. His face was cold and his eyes were fluctuating with golden light. His body was like a boulder, unmoving and unmoving. He did not even have the intention to dodge. Chila. The void trembled. Suddenly, a graceful figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu, as if she could cross the space. The person's delicate hand formed a seal. Then, a dazzling rune turned into a wave of rune energy that flickered and illuminated the void. It also collided with the rolling flames like a wave. Rumble. It was as if a thick energy had exploded. It was as if a thunderclap had exploded, causing the void to tremble. It made people gasp. The person who came was an extremely beautiful woman. She looked to be in her 30s and looked very young. She had a thin layer of makeup on her face and the corners of her eyes were full of lust. She was the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Meiling. Tang Meiling, you're actually not dead. When she saw Tang Meiling appear in front of her, she was suddenly shocked and lost her voice. Her eyes trembled violently. At the same time, Zhao Lu, Jing Enteo, and many other people from the Hehuan school were also surprised. Tang Meiling looked at the beautiful woman. Her watery eyes looked as if they were about to drip water. She had a faint smile that was enough to move the hearts of all the men in the world. However, at this moment, there was a terrifying chill in her eyes. She muttered softly, "Senior Sister Mawa, there are some debts that we should settle properly." Chapter 12:10. You're really lucky. However, instead of escaping properly, you dare to appear. You're courting death. The beautiful woman wrapped in an icy aura seemed to be more afraid of Tang Meiling compared to Du Xiaofu. Her beautiful figure immediately shot into the air and stood beside Mo Hua. The two faced each other, faintly forming a mysterious joint attack. Their invisible aura soared as they joined forces to fight against Tang Meiling. I'm the main character today. Du Xiaofu held the purple-gold heavenly tower as he hovered in the air. His face was filled with bitterness. Mu Jianxin had stolen his limelight at the start. Now, it was being stolen by Tang Meiling. Damn it, I don't care anymore. Du Xiaofu directly retreated to the side and landed on the square. Since Tang Meiling had appeared, Su Muxin should naturally come as well. There was no need for him to interfere. Is this all you can do with your combined strength? Following Du Xiaofu's retreat, Tang Meiling's lovely smile was dark and cold at the same time. She directly attacked without any restraint. With a wave of her hand, the sleeves of her dress shook. With her as the center, the surrounding natural energy gathered at an astonishing speed. In an instant, it transformed into a resplendent rune light screen. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Almost at the same time, Tang Miling's beautiful figure split into 9 figures within the light screen. The 9 figures were exactly the same. 9 rune energy pillars were like lightning, carrying a wild and violent force and resplendent light as they swept towards Emo Hua and Mu Jianxin at lightning speed. Emo Hua and Mu Jianxin's joint attack erupted. 2 auras, one hot and one cold, merged together in a mysterious manner. Ice and fire connected, blocking the surroundings. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, low and deep energy sounds rang out at the same time, causing the surrounding space to shatter. Stomp, stomp. Emo Hua and Mu Jianxin's delicate figures staggered. The 2 of them had joined forces to resist Tang Miling, but it seemed that they were still at a disadvantage. Tang Miling, you're courting death. A low and deep roar resounded across the square. Zheng Anteo's figure appeared, instantly transforming into a series of afterimages as he pounced towards Tang Miling. Swish! The runes in his hand shone brightly and turned into a long spear. Like a sharp arrow, Zheng Anteo directly pierced towards Tang Miling. That terrifying momentum silently distorted the void. The long spear pierced through the void as fast as lightning, causing people to feel a chill and their hair to stand on end. Chila! Suddenly, right at this moment, a stream of light descended from high above in the sky like a bolt of lightning, and it blasted onto the spear that was condensed from dazzling talisman markings before Zheng Anteo. Boom! The 2 collided, erupting with dazzling runes. The sound of the energy collision wasn't loud, but the surging energy swept through the entire Hehuan school. Zhao Lu, Zheng Anteo, the 2 of you seized power, imprisoned elders, and killed fellow disciples. How should you be punished? As the energy exploded, a sharp voice rang out. From midair, a dozen figures flew over. Their auras swept through the square. In the lead was a woman in a dark purple dress. Her purple clothes were otherworldly, and her skin was as white as snow. Her eyes were clear and bright, flowing with multicolored light, emitting a bewitching charm. Her beauty was soul-stirring. When the purple-clothed woman appeared, Zhao Lu, Zheng Anteo, and Emo Hua's expressions changed the most. Among the dozens of Hehuan school experts behind Zhao Lu, many of them raised their heads with trembling gazes. Those elders haven't seen them for a long time. Why are they all here? That purple-clothed woman in front of those elders looks very familiar. She seems to be the schoolmaster. The Hehuan school's disciples discussed animatedly. At this moment, the elders behind the purple-clothed woman all had anger in their eyes. They were all elders who had disappeared from the Manchu for a long time. As for the purple-clothed woman, the Hehuan school's disciples also faintly felt a sense of familiarity. It seems like the schoolmaster imprisoned those elders. Among the Hehuan school's disciples, a disciple cautiously whispered. It seems like it's getting more and more lively. The gazes of the various major factions in the area were watching the unforeseen events that had happened one after another in the Hehuan school today. At this moment, all of them were watching with interest. Since it didn't concern them, they just sat there and watched the show happily. Quite a few elders have been imprisoned. Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly. The bewitching woman who had arrived at the end was naturally Su Muxin. Behind her were more than a dozen elders, burly men, and women. All of them had extraordinary auras and were all supremacy experts. Among them, 2 were chaotic element supremacies, while the other 3 were transcendence and 8-star transcendent talisman masters. However, from the looks of it, they seemed to have suffered a little while being imprisoned. Ji Jian stood quietly behind Su Muxin. Although she was talented, she wasn't qualified to interfere in this kind of situation. Thank you all for coming to Hehuan School. We've embarrassed ourselves in front of all of you. The Hehuan School's schoolmaster Zhao Lu is plotting to seize power and usurp the throne. In a while, our Hehuan School will be cleaning up the school. Please take a seat. Su Muxin thanks you all. Su Muxin stood in the air. Her purple dress fluttered slightly as she was wrapped in multicolored light. Every movement of hers exuded an aura that was noble and dignified, causing people to revere her. Looking at Su Muxin in the air, that invisible aura made Du Xiaofu's heart fluctuate. He secretly sighed in his heart. This woman was indeed not simple. Just her aura alone was much stronger than Zhao Lu's. Looking at that charming yet dignified and noble woman, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but think of many figures. Whether it was the tomboy Su Muxin, Dongli Qingqing, Qi Yeshi, Sima Muhan, etc. They all had their own temperaments, but that kind of majesty and charm was unique to Su Muxin. As for that formless aura, it was something that only Murong Yorua possessed. However, in terms of cultivation strength, Murong Yorua was much weaker. Murong Yorua's temperament was also ancient, like a banished immortal. It was the complete opposite of Su Muxin's charm. Su Muxin, she's Su Muxin. So Su Muxin is a woman? I didn't expect that the dignified, alluring phantom, Su Muxin, is actually a woman. No wonder she's so familiar. She's indeed Su Muxin. Su Muxin's name immediately caused quite a commotion in the lineup of the major forces in the surroundings. The alluring phantom Su Muxin had left behind many legends in Shangzhou. Hehuan School had fallen further and further behind in recent years. But 20 years ago, with the appearance of Su Muxin, Shangzhou had no choice but to re-evaluate Hehuan School. It was rumored that 20 years ago, there was a grand event in Shangzhou. At that time, the number one person among the same generation in Shangzhou was Gongsun Mingjian, the junior brother of the Saman Sword sect master Mu Tianhong. He was known as the junior brother of the Saman Sword sect master, Gongsun Mingjian. But later on, Gongsun Mingjian met Su Muxin and was defeated by Su Muxin in 3 moves. From then on, the number one person among the younger generation in Shangzhou was Su Muxin. Her name, Alluring Phantom, had thoroughly resounded throughout Shangzhou. On the square, Zhao Lu's alluring gaze looked at Su Muxin in the sky. A cold smile gradually appeared on her middle-aged but still charming face. Su Muxin, you deceived the Manchu. As a woman, you're no longer a virgin. You let Du Xiaofu go. The elders have already decided to remove you from the position of sect master and throw you into prison. But you killed your fellow disciples and escaped. Today, the one who should clean up the sect is me. Zhao Lu said gloomily. She didn't know why Su Muxin didn't die in the Forbidden Land. But if she didn't thoroughly deal with this problem today, there would be endless troubles in the future. So Su Muxin is no longer a virgin. I wonder who had the opportunity to obtain her. Is it someone above Shangzhou? What a pity. I wonder who got it. As Zhao Lu's voice fell, the surrounding sects were in an uproar. Not many people were interested in the rules of the Hehuan School. But at this moment, the gossip of who the alluring phantom Su Muxin's virginity had fallen into caused quite a commotion. Many middle-aged experts of the various sects were also envious and sighed inwardly. According to the rules of the sect leader must remain a virgin if she cultivates the Yin Kuan taming tiger technique. Otherwise, she will not be able to become the sect leader. However, my dual cultivation of martial arts and talisman does not affect the Yin Kuan taming tiger technique. Su Muxin didn't reveal a trace of the commotion around her. Her eyes were fixed on Zhao Lu. Her graceful figure was dazzling. Her dress fluttered and her hair slightly danced. She was like a demoness who had descended. Charming, dignified and noble. Moreover, the elder group doesn't count. You imprisoned 14 inner sect elders first. The elder group's decision doesn't count at all. Now, I'm still the sect master of the Hehuan School. You seized power and killed your fellow disciples. Today, I'm going to clean up the school. Su Muxin's clear eyes surged with a cold light. Kik. Zhao Lu was slightly stunned. Then, she sneered and looked at Su Muxin. With just the few of you? Don't you know that the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit? Today, you're walking right into the trap. Zhao Lu laughed sinisterly. She waved her hand and said, Elders, why aren't you capturing Su Muxin, the traitor? Whoosh whoosh, as Zhao Lu's words left her mouth, over 20 figures immediately flew out, and they stood in the sky along with Mo Hua and the other woman. Boom! Numerous elders erupted with runes, intending to join forces to suppress Su Muxin. There were still a dozen elders behind Zhao Lu. However, they looked at each other and seemed to be hesitating for a moment. Elders, do you have any other choice? The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Do you think that you can reverse the situation with just those lowly servants? Zhao Lu turned her head and looked at the hesitating elders behind her as she sneered. The elders looked at each other with ripples in their eyes. They seemed to be even more afraid of Zhao Lu's words. Zhao Lu, Jing Anteo and the rest have committed treason and disregarded the sex rules. They seized power and the elders were kept in the dark. Today, I'll let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, I'll kill without mercy. Su Muxin's gaze swept across the square and the joyful Union sex elders in the air. Her soft voice resounded throughout the square, causing the space to tremble incessantly, causing the elders' minds to tremble. Some of the elders were shaken by Su Muxin's words. They looked at each other, but they were still more afraid of Zhao Lu. These elders were very clear that there was someone supporting Zhao Lu. However, the whereabouts of the old sect master behind Su Muxin was unknown. Perhaps the old sect master had fallen outside and no one knew. That was the most important thing. Don't be stubborn. Abandon the darkness and join the light. There's still a chance. A primordial chaos martial venerate elder behind Su Muxin said to the other elders. Don't waste your breath. You prodigal dogs won't be able to turn the tables today. Zhao Lu walked out and stared coldly at Su Muxin. She sneered, you no longer have a chance. Why drag those stubborn old fogies to death with you? 20 years ago, the Hehuan school's sect master position did not belong to you. Let's end it where it started. You can find someone and we'll settle it ourselves. The winner takes all. Su Muxin looked at Zhao Lu and raised her eyebrows slightly. Out of the corner of her eyes, she subtly swept her gaze over Du Xiaofu who was standing on the square below. Then, a ray of light shot out from her eyes as she looked straight at Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo. Both of you can come at me together. I alone am enough to deal with you. Junior sister, you won't be able to resist them if they join hands. Tang Meiling was worried and whispered to Su Muxin. Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo had already gained the upper hand in the battle not long ago. That might not be the case today. Su Muxin breathed lightly as her chest rose and fell. Then she walked out gracefully. Everyone step back. Jing Anteo waved his hand. The elders and the two beautiful women, Emma, stepped back, leaving a large space in the square for the two of them. Crackle. Su Muxin formed a seal with her hands. Runes shot out from the surroundings and surrounded the square. Rumble. In an instant, the center of the square trembled. A pillar of energy shot out from the sky. Then, it condensed into a huge talisman array in the space around the square, solidifying the space around the square. This talisman array was not an offensive or defensive talisman array. It only solidified the space and the earth, preventing external forces from leaking out and destroying the earth. Su Muxin did not want the Hehuan school to be destroyed in the unavoidable battle. At their level of cultivation, once a battle broke out, it would be destruction. At this moment, the space around the square was solidified. The space trembled for no reason. An indescribable aura filled the air, causing the cultivators with lower cultivation to tremble. Those who were not strong enough would find it difficult to circulate their celestial qi in the solidified space. They would be greatly affected. Looking at Su Muxin's formation, the people from the various major forces all looked on in awe. Everyone could feel that Su Muxin had the intention to kill and was planning to clean up the school. However, the winner would be the king and the loser would be the bandit. The final result was not certain. As for the family affairs of the Hehuan school, the various factions had no intention of interfering. No matter who won in the end, the Hehuan school would suffer a huge loss. This might be a good thing for the various factions. Therefore, they were happy to watch the show. Kiki, you will die today. As Su Muxin's array condensed in the square, Jing Anteo sneered and stepped into the air. He took the lead and pounced towards Su Muxin. The resplendent rune spear in his hand condensed again, emitting a dazzling light that was like an electric arc. Jing Anteo attacked and stabbed towards Su Muxin. Whoosh! Jing Anteo's speed was very fast. The solidified space did not have much effect on him. The aura of a peak nirvana martial venerable swept out from his body without reservation. It spread in all directions like a storm. It whistled through the sky and shook the clouds, causing the clouds to move. Su Muxin moved. Runes erupted from her beautiful figure and her hand seals condensed. Instead of retreating, she moved forward. A palm seal condensed in her delicate hand and emitted a dazzling divine radiance. It was like a falling meteorite with the power to distort space. It shook the square and instantly collided with the spear. Boom! The two collided and exploded the space. The terrifying destructive rune force did not leak out. As soon as the two collided, a yellow figure appeared behind Su Muxin like a ghost. Clouds filled the air and her eyes were alluring. It was Zhao Lu's figure. Coldness shot out from her eyes. From between her eyebrows, an aura that made one's heart tremble swept out and turned into a ferocious strange beast phantom that occupied the void. It was a primordial spirit attack. Roar! The strange beast phantom roared as if it was alive. The sound waves swept in all directions, causing the primordial spirit in the Niwen Palace in one's mind to be greatly affected. An 8-star peak nirvana spiritual talisman master. At the corner of the square, Du Xiaofu slightly raised his eyes and frowned. Chapter 12:11. Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo had joined forces. One was a peak nirvana revered martial artist, while the other was a peak 8-star nirvana talisman master. Although Du Xiaofu knew that Su Muxin was already half a domain at the level of a spirit talisman master and was only half a step away from reaching 9-star, Du Xiaofu knew that Su Muxin was at the level of a spirit talisman master. However, Du Xiaofu was also worried. If they did not have absolute confidence, Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo would not have chosen to fight Su Muxin alone. As Du Xiaofu's thoughts flashed, the battle in the square became more and more intense. Rumble! The battle between the three erupted with resplendent light, shaking the frozen space in the square and causing it to tremble. If not for the fact that Su Muxin had sealed the space in the square in advance, this space would have been completely destroyed. Zheng Anteo was a martial artist, while Zhao Lu was a talisman master. The two of them had a tacit understanding and complemented each other. Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo's talents were also extremely powerful. Su Muxin was a half-domain talisman master, but under the siege of the two of them, although she could resist, she could not effectively counterattack. Swish! Zheng Anteo's eyes were cold. The spear in his hand was so sharp that it made one's heart tremble as it pierced through the void. Runes erupted from Zhao Lu's body, and her primordial spirit energy swept out, jointly suppressing Su Muxin. The battle between the three of them caused the space to boil. Su Muxin fought 1 against 2, fighting against Jing Anteo and Zhao Lu. Zhao Lu's eyes flashed with a cold light, and her aura soared into the sky, not reducing her majesty and charm. Su Muxin is already a half-domain talisman master. When she fought against Gong Sun Mingjian, she only displayed her martial cultivation. Gong Sun Mingjian's defeat was not unjust. If not for Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo's tacit understanding, and seemed to have cultivated the Hehuan school's yin-yang fusion technique, which complemented each other, I'm afraid it would be difficult for them to defeat Su Muxin. In the crowd, many experts sighed at Su Muxin's strength. Martial Uncle Mingjian is only a chaos-revered martial artist now. Seiman Munchu, Mu Jianchen looked at the shocking battle in the square, and his eyes rippled. Su Muxin's chaos-revered martial artist. This kind of martial artist talent is too rare. Behind Mu Jianchen, the old man with a vigorous aura also had a look of shock in his eyes. Su Muxin's strength was something that he could not compare to. Boom! Jing Anteo attacked with all his might. The spear in his hand emitted a large number of resplendent runes that were incomparably blazing and dazzling. He and Zhao Lu's Mu joined Zhao Lu, Zhao Lu's Chu. Zhao Lu's Mu. Mu's Mu, is Mu. Mu Mu's Mu Mu's Chu's Chu Mu, is Mu's. Runes and runes Mu's spirit was Master's Mu. Su Muxin, is that all you've got? You're going to lose today. Mu King God Mu Moonin, is Mu Tuzas her Mu's Mu. Kill! Jing Anteo also activated his Renhuang martial vein, which almost merged with the spear in his hand. The spear burst out and pierced through the sky, heading straight for Su Muxin. At this moment, Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo had already used their full strength. The invisible tacit understanding between them increased their might. Su Muxin was very calm. As the frightening murderous aura shrouded her, she activated her mortal supremacy spiritual root and the aura spread out in all directions like waves. Su Muxin dodged Jing Anteo's attack, and a terrifying pressure of a human sovereign caused lightning and thunder to rumble in the sky. Su Muxin dodged Jing Anteo's attack, and a terrifying palm print condensed and slammed towards Zhao Lu. At this moment, when the three of them unleashed their full strength, the pressure caused the surrounding Hehuan school disciples to tremble in fear. Most of them unknowingly felt their legs go soft. Around the square, some of the experts from the various forces were already trembling. Hehuan school is full of talented people. Those three are all terrifying people. Fortunately, there is internal strife. Otherwise, they would be able to lead Hehuan school to greater heights in the future. The elders of the various major forces sighed. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, the situation of the battle in the air above the square changed. The battle between the three of them ended almost instantly, and it was as fast as lightning. Dang dang. Zhao Lu's delicate body suddenly staggered backward, and some dark red blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth for some reason. It made the cold smile on her face even more vicious. Chi La. A long spear that pierced through the sky brushed past Su Muxin's ear, and she dodged it. However, the light burst out and shook the space, and a few strands of Su Muxin's hair were shaken off. They fell on her shoulder, and her hair began to dance in the wind. Mortal supremacy spiritual root is really powerful. Du Xiaofu looked at Su Muxin and was secretly amazed. Su Muxin's mortal supremacy spiritual root was on the same level as his master's revered weapon spiritual root. This woman was even a dual cultivator. In terms of martial Dao, her mortal supremacy spiritual root was even stronger than his master's revered weapon spiritual root. Yin and Yang are the same, thousands of changes, transform. The two of them joined forces and were still lightly injured. Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo looked at each other with tacit understanding. At the same time, the two of them formed hand seals and runes burst out. Profound qi rushed into the sky, and the two energies of Yin and Yang converged, shaking the space. The experts of the various major forces looked at each other and could not help but tremble. What Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo were using at this moment was definitely an extremely powerful divine ability. Rumble! Just as everyone's eyes trembled, Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo had already condensed a huge black and white spatial halo. It distorted the void, and the aura was like the beginning of the world. When the black and white yin-yang halo appeared, the sky also trembled. This was not a simple power, but it carried the power of heaven and earth. It was the most terrifying. At this moment, Su Muxin also focused for the first time. She quickly formed hand seals, and a dazzling talisman rune burst out from her body. A great aura permeated from the void. As the terrifying aura spread out, Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. When he felt the aura from Su Muxin's body pervading, Du Xiaofu's Qianyang dragon subduing art trembled for no reason. Extreme Yang, from the earth origin white tiger. As soon as her voice fell, a huge white tiger condensed in front of Su Muxin. This was not an ordinary white tiger, but was condensed by the energy of heaven and earth, accompanied by a murderous aura. Roar! The white tiger pounced on the black and white halo, waving its tiger claws, wanting to tear everything apart. The terrifying aura shook the earth, and it was indescribably terrifying. In an instant, the huge white tiger and the black and white halo that distorted the sky collided. Rumble! The energy impacted the surrounding space, and it was as if heaven and earth were collapsing. The white tiger roared, shaking the mountains and rivers. The sound waves could be clearly seen rippling out like waves, and the energy spread out in all directions. The black and white halo released the energy of heaven and earth, as if it was the beginning of heaven and earth, and it suppressed everything. The white tiger waved its claws, and it had the power to shatter mountains and split the sky. On the black and white halo, there were layers of talisman runes, and they dissolved the white tiger's attack, faintly suppressing the white tiger. The white tiger's aura was terrifying, but the black and white halo was incomparably mysterious. The collision in the sky above the square was endless, and the talisman runes bloomed dazzlingly. Such a battle attracted the attention of everyone, and the top experts of the major forces were also watching intently. The white tiger roared endlessly, as if a divine tiger was looking down on the earth. Its power was unparalleled, and the talisman runes were dazzling. The tiger's roar swept across the sky. The black and white halo covered the sky like a heavenly net, and it was incomparably mysterious. It contained endless mysteries, and it continued to roar and attack the white tiger madly. The white tiger could not destroy the black and white halo, and it was getting more and more restrained. Su Mushin, so what if you cultivate the Kuan-Yin tiger subduing art? You can't do anything about the yin-yang fusion art. Zhao Lu sneered. She already had the upper hand. With the yin-yang fusion art activated, the two of them could even fight a real 9-star talisman master. Su Mushin was only a half-domain, so of course she could suppress them. Su Mushin's eyes narrowed. Last time in the ancient desolate space, she had received guidance from domain Lord Ru Meng, and her Kuan-Yin tiger subduing art had improved a lot. But now, Su Mushin knew that unless she used her final trump card, she would not be able to resist Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo. But if she used her trump card, Su Mushin knew that she would not have the strength to fight again, and it would be difficult to completely deal with Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo. At that time, the consequences would be unimaginable. At that time, Zhao Lu would definitely not let the elders of the Hehuan school go. She would definitely purge the Hehuan school, and blood would flow like a river. Roar! The white tiger roared, and dazzling talisman runes bloomed in the sky. A murderous aura swept out, and the tiger claw tore the sky apart. A huge tiger claw appeared on the black and white halo, as if it wanted to tear the world apart. Break! Zheng Anteo shouted. As Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo's hand seals condensed, a series of dazzling talisman runes burst out from the black and white halo. Its aura was monstrous, and it actually wanted to swallow the white tiger. Puchi, some dark red blood flowed out from the corner of Su Mushin's mouth, and her face became pale. Not good. Tang Miling's expression changed. She was the clearest. If it was a one-on-one fight, neither Zhao Lu nor Zheng Anteo would be a match for her junior sister. But at this moment, the two of them joined forces, and it was based on the yin-yang fusion art. It was a terrifying art that was closest to a heaven-class art. It was said that it was passed down from ancient times, and its power was terrifying. That kid also cultivated the Qianyang dragon subduing art. Although his strength is not enough, at least he cultivated the Qianyang dragon subduing art. Suddenly, Tang Miling looked at the corner of the square, and then the light in her eyes changed. The person she was looking at had quietly disappeared. Chapter 12:12. In the square, the black and white halo swallowed the huge white tiger formed by Su Mushin. The white tiger exploded with countless runes, but in the end, it could not hold on. Su Mushin is going to lose. Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo are working together to activate the yin-yang fusion art. That level of power is enough to fight against a martial domain realm cultivator. Hehuan School has many trump cards. Su Mushin's talisman master cultivation has also reached half domain. She has a human supreme spiritual root and can fight against an ordinary martial domain realm cultivator. But now, she is being affected by Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo's yin-yang fusion art. The experts of the various major forces sighed in low voices. They were all shocked. Su Mushin resisted with all her might. Blood flowed from the corner of her red lips again. It's unfair for two people to gang up on one. I'll join in the fun too. Suddenly, a faint voice sounded. A purple figure appeared in the battle circle. It was Du Xiaofu, who had just disappeared. Purple lightning talisman runes covered his body. When Du Xiaofu appeared, lightning flashed and thunder roared in the sky. It was as if doomsday had arrived. A vast aura suddenly swept out in all directions. This aura was powerful. It was filled with killing intent. It did not have any killing intent, but it showed the majesty of creation. It showed the righteousness of heaven and earth. It could sweep across the sky and punish all living things. Go. Du Xiaofu appeared and activated his lightning martial vein. His body glowed and countless lightning runes erupted. A purple lightning bolt condensed and collided with the black and white halo. Rumble. With this strike, the lightning bolt distorted the black and white halo in the sky. Ripples surged in the black and white halo. The sound of thunder was like a clap of thunder, shaking the void. The terrifying aura leaked out, causing countless people in the square to tremble in fear. Du Xiaofu attacked. With his peak transcendence cultivation and his lightning martial vein, his terrifying strength was enough to make even a chaotic element martial lord tremble in fear. What a terrifying demon king! The expressions of the experts from the four great powers changed as well. Considering Du Xiaofu's age and talent, they were even more shocked when they saw his terrifying strength explode out. However, although Du Xiaofu's attack was frightening, it did not have much of an effect on the black and white circle of light other than surging and boiling ripples. How can he be so strong? Du Xiaofu was shocked. He had activated his Thunder Martial Vein's full force attack, but it had no effect on the joint attack of Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo. What are you doing here? You're not strong enough to participate in this. I've said that I don't need you to interfere. Looking at Du Xiaofu's intervention, Su Muxin's expression was extremely complicated, even revealing a hint of anger. If you lose, I'm afraid I won't be able to walk out of Hehuan School. Du Xiaofu looked at Su Muxin, but he could only ponder these words in his heart. Looking at Su Muxin, the corners of Du Xiaofu's mouth twitched. In front of the heroes of the four great powers, he had to maintain some poise. However, what he really said to Su Muxin was, "We've gone through thick and thin together. Now that the two of them are bullying you, I naturally can't just stand by and watch. Even if I can't win, what's there to be afraid of? At least I can help you a little." Du Xiaofu's words rang out and landed in Su Muxin's ears. For some reason, Su Muxin's gaze was slightly dazed. Su Muxin had been dressing up as a man in Hehuan School since she was young. Although she dressed up as a man, she was still a woman in her heart. However, she was a woman dressed as a man and was also the sect master of Hehuan School. When had a man ever said such words to her? At this moment, even if she were to appear in front of others with her real identity, Su Muxin's status and cultivation were above Kyushu's. How many men of the same generation would dare to say such words to her? They would all feel ashamed of their inferiority. Du Xiaofu's words were heartwarming and seemed to have inadvertently touched a soft spot in Su Muxin's heart. However, in just a short moment, Su Muxin fiercely glared at Du Xiaofu and angrily said, "Who wants to go through thick and thin with you? I don't need you to interfere. You don't know how to appreciate my good intentions. Do you think I want to interfere?" Du Xiaofu muttered in his heart. However, he didn't have the time to complain at this moment. Following his appearance, Zhao Lu and Zheng Anteo's killing intent had also locked onto him. From within the black and white circle of light, a long spear condensed from energy runes shot towards Du Xiaofu with the force of a thunderbolt. The energy rune long spear shot out with a terrifying aura. Just the fluctuations in the surroundings caused the space to crack and distort, making it impossible for anyone to resist. Du Xiaofu's expression also changed. Lightning surged within his eyes, sharp and terrifying. His hand seals changed and golden light enveloped the surroundings. Under the premise of activating the Thunder Martial Vein, a tyrannical and fierce aura suddenly swept out. His fist carried a faint dragon roar and divine elephant cry as it rushed towards the rune-long spear. Bang! The fist and the energy rune-long spear collided. Astonishing energy swept out and a strange rumbling sound rang out in the air. Du Xiaofu's body was also shaken back by dozens of feet. Dang dang. When Du Xiaofu's body stabilized, he had just retreated to a place not far from Su Muxin. He waved his numb fist. There was some pain on his fist and some scratches on his skin, but that was all. That Demon King Du Xiaofu's defense is so strong. The experts around the square with sharp eyes cried out in surprise. That energy rune long spear was enough to kill a peak chaotic element martial honorable in a direct confrontation. As for that demon king Du Xiaofu, he was not injured at all. That level of defense was unimaginable. If you want to defeat the two of them, you have to first break their yin-yang fusion art. With your and my current strength, there is only one chance. Su Muxin looked at the retreating Du Xiaofu and hesitated for a moment. She bit her red lips and transmitted her voice. The runes on her body glowed and her hair danced. Her graceful figure was enveloped in a dazzling halo of light. She was very charming. What chance? Hurry up and say it. Otherwise, we'll just wait to be defeated. Du Xiaofu transmitted his voice to Su Muxin. Looking at the charming woman, he could not help but mutter in his heart. When this woman was dressed as a man, her genderless beauty could charm all the women in the world. Her current appearance was definitely a disaster. However, there were probably not many men who would dare to provoke such a terrifying woman. Su Muxin gritted her teeth and transmitted her voice to Du Xiaofu. Activate the Qianyang Dragon Subduing Art and condense the Universe Dragon Tiger Art with me. No problem. Du Xiaofu immediately nodded. After all, he had also cultivated the Qianyang Dragon Subduing Art. This is the first time we are fusing the Universe Dragon Tiger Art. We need to keep our minds clear and free of distracting thoughts. There might be some illusions during the process. If an accident happens, we will be severely injured at best. At worst, we will go berserk. Su Muxin's soft voice transmission was heard. For some reason, a slight blush and helplessness crept onto her delicate face. I will be careful. Du Xiaofu nodded and replied. Then let's begin. I will use my spiritual root to stop them. However, it will only last for about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, if we are unable to fuse the Qianyang Dragon Subduing Art and the Kuan-Yin Tiger Art into the Universe Dragon Tiger Art, we will be in real trouble. Su Muxin stared at Du Xiaofu with a warning in her eyes. She continued to transmit her voice. Be careful. You must not be confused by the illusions. If you dare to let your imagination run wild, I will not be courteous to you. As her voice fell, Su Muxin formed a hand seal. A mysterious rune between her eyebrows swept across the sky and directly turned into a mysterious rune light that enveloped the sky in front of her. The mysterious rune light was like a waterfall that fell from the 9 heavens, isolating the two of them. As the mysterious rune light turned into a waterfall that appeared in the sky, it exploded with dazzling runes. A terrifying aura filled the air, causing the primordial spirits in the Naiwan Palace in the minds of the people around them to feel like they were about to explode. What kind of magical power is that? Feeling the terrifying pressure, many people around them sucked in a breath of cold air. That is Su Muxin's human supreme spiritual root. She has already used the last of her spiritual root transformation. This is something that only a 9-star spiritual talisman master can do. I didn't expect her to be able to do it. Her talent is really terrifying. Someone revealed a serious expression on behalf of Su Muxin. With a shocked expression, he said, "She is just stalling for time with her human supreme spiritual root. I don't know what she has to prepare. Once her human supreme spiritual root is broken, she will be in big trouble." Seeing the internal strife in the Hehuan school today, the major forces also felt the depth of the Hehuan school's foundation. The Hehuan school was definitely qualified and had its own foundation to be able to survive in Shangzhou. Su Muxin, Zhao Lu, and Jing Anteo of the Hehuan school alone were the most terrifying existences among their peers in Shangzhou. Quick, activate the Qianyang Dragon Subduing Art and merge with me. We don't have much time. After her spiritual root transformed, Su Muxin immediately sat cross-legged in the sky. She formed a hand seal and activated the Yin Kuan Tiger Subduing Art. Du Xiaofu didn't dare to be careless at this moment. After hearing what Su Muxin said, he immediately sat opposite her. He formed a hand seal and activated the Qianyang Dragon Subduing Art. Chapter 12-13. Gather the energy of heaven and earth to replenish my qi. Gather the essence of heaven and earth to replenish my essence. Gather the spirit of heaven and earth to replenish my spirit. Gather the energy of heaven and earth to create me. Gather the energy of heaven and earth to replenish my life. If the energy of heaven and earth continues to replenish my qi. As Du Xiaofu muttered to himself, his hand seals formed and large patches of mysterious talisman patterns lingered on the surface of his body. Su Muxin sat cross-legged in the air with her eyes slightly shut. At the same time, circles of mysterious talisman patterns also surged out from the surface of her body. The mysterious talisman patterns that emanated from Su Muxin's body invisibly connected with the mysterious talisman patterns on the surface of Du Xiaofu's body. In the end, they converged together, enveloping the two of them within a circle of light at the same time. Qi-la, the black and white circle of light, distorted the void. Under its vast and terrifying aura, it finally swallowed the 1,000-feet-large white tiger shadow. Don't tell me they. After swallowing the huge white tiger, Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo's eyes met. Looking at Du Xiaofu and Su Muxin, who were sitting cross-legged behind the spiritual root manifestation seal, they seemed to have sensed something. Faintly, a look of horror appeared in their eyes. Not good, we can't let them succeed. Zhao Lu bellowed gloomily and immediately urged the black and white aperture to appear and distort the void. It erupted with terrifying power and immediately swept towards Su Muxin's spiritual root seal that was blocking the void. Rumble! The vast power spread and pressed down, causing the spiritual root seal that Su Muxin had set up to tremble. However, the terrifying power contained within Su Muxin's human sovereign spiritual root manifestation was definitely not easy to deal with. The mysterious talisman patterns erupted and directly resisted. Voila! The two of them violently collided together. Runes shot out and seemed to be able to crush and destroy everything. Just the aura that had spread out from the frozen space of the square was enough to make one's heart palpitate. If not for the measures that Su Muxin had set up earlier, not to mention the square, even the entire Hehuan school would have been razed to the ground. The gazes in the surroundings were aghast. The majority of the gazes fell on Du Xiaofu and Su Muxin. It was not difficult to guess what kind of trump card the Demon King, Du Xiaofu and Su Muxin were currently forming. Demon King, Du Xiaofu and Mirage were Su Muxin. The trump card of those two was the 4 of the 4. The 4 was the final victor of the 4s. Looks of that's and Su Mirage, Su. That Su. Mu Jianchen curiously watched from within the Sa Meng sword sex formation. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was wrapped in talisman runes. He closed his eyes and emptied his mind. He entered the state of emptiness and circulated the Qianyang dragon subduing art. He felt as if he had merged with something. It was an extremely wonderful feeling. Du Xiaofu felt an indescribable feeling. It was as if he was immersed in his mother's embrace. Suddenly, light flickered before his eyes. Du Xiaofu felt as if he had appeared in a lake of wine and a forest of meat. There were many beautiful women laughing and chatting. That place was filled with red lanterns, green wine, soft red fragrant soil, and cauldrons. The many beautiful women gradually became naked. They touched each other and let go of their restraints. It was a scene of drunkenness. The people of this world are greedy for the pleasure of the female cauldron. They call it plucking. Originally, it was a matter of death. But now, it's called the Tao of immortality. Du Xiaofu's mind sank. He remained unmoved and his heart remained clear. Suddenly, the scene before Du Xiaofu's eyes changed again. It was a peerless beauty. She was incomparably alluring and devastatingly beautiful. You can dual cultivate with me. You and I will cultivate together. Refine qi into spirit, refine the spirit back to the void, and refine one's foundation. In the future, we will be able to progress together. The woman spoke softly. Her clothes slowly fell to the ground. Her skin was as white as snow. She was graceful and alluring. Cultivate one's nature, refine one's spirit, refine one's life, connect yin and yang, refine qi into spirit, refine one's spirit back to the void, refine one's foundation, eliminate all distracting thoughts, and progress together. It's just a medium grade. Du Xiaofu's mind was still unmoved. His heart remained clear. He was completely unmoved. However, Du Xiaofu's mind was firm. He was still unmoved. At this moment, if the seniors of the Hehuan school who had cultivated the Heaven and Earth Dragon Tiger technique knew that Du Xiaofu had passed the first 2 stages of the illusions so easily, they would probably crawl out of their graves in shock. The 2 stages of the illusions seemed simple, but they were definitely not easy to pass. No matter how strong one's talent was, or how strong one's state of mind was, it would be difficult to pass them in one go. The illusions seemed simple, but once there was a trace of wavering, the illusions would change and become continuous. The 2 stages of the illusions made one sink deep into a quagmire. One could only sink deeper and deeper, and it would be difficult to break free. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit had always been very strong. His state of mind had been tempered to be indomitable. Under the cultivation of the remnant of the mysterious technique, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit had also become extremely different. Later on, the purple gold profound bomb had forged his primordial spirit. At this moment he still had 2 types of spirit thunder in his body. He also had the 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian in his Naiwen palace. With so many opportunities gathered on his primordial spirit, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit was unknowingly fully armed. As long as his primordial spirit remained clear-headed, his state of mind could not be shaken. Qi La. The scene before Du Xiaofu's eyes changed again. The illusions in his mind changed for the 3rd time. It was an illusory space. In the space, it was misty. Clouds and mist lingered, and he could not see anything. His state of mind slowly approached. Du Xiaofu was puzzled. He looked around with his state of mind, and gradually, a light appeared in front of him. When the light appeared, Du Xiaofu's state of mind took a look. It was a mountain range filled with spiritual energy. The courtyard was exquisite, and there was a young man who was cultivating hard. He was sweating and crying. His eyes were firm and stubborn. The effort he put in was unimaginable to ordinary people. The young man worked hard and stubbornly. However, in the dead of night, he was looking at the stars in the sky. The young man's face was elegant. His hair was draped over his shoulders, adding to his charm. His eyes were clear and bright. They could compete with the most beautiful stars in the sky. The young man grew up and charmed everyone. He became the headmaster of the Hehuan school in one battle. After that, he left Shang province and defeated his peers. He was invincible. His name spread throughout the entire Shang province. However, every night, the charming young man stood alone on the mountain peak. His hair draped over his shoulders and extended to his buttocks, adding to his charm. His eyes were filled with yearning, revealing the blurriness and dreamy yearning of a young girl. In a cave, Du Xiaofu's state of mind took a look. It was a place that seemed very familiar. Inside the cave, Du Xiaofu's mind saw the seductive young man's hair fall behind his back. His dark purple satin robe slowly slid down, revealing a graceful and curvaceous body. On his beautiful face, his eyes were blurred, revealing a seductive aura that was enough to tempt all living things. "I want you." Du Xiaofu's state of mind saw himself in the cave. He was tightly hugging the charming woman in front of him. His eyes were red and his body was burning. He lowered his head and kissed her. "Don't want." The charming woman's breath was weak. However, Du Xiaofu saw that his lips had already landed on her blood-stained lips. He then began to greedily suck, invade and plunder. She wanted to stop him, but in the end, she was too deep. She then responded. After a while, the woman's exquisite curves and jade-like body appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Every inch of her body was emitting a seductive aura. That woman was Su Muxin. Du Xiaofu saw it clearly. This scene had also appeared in his mind before. It was like a dream, but at this moment, it was so vivid and clear. A delicate voice rang out. Su Muxin's body trembled as dark red blood seeped out from her lower body. She couldn't help but cry out in pain. Her body was pure. After that, Du Xiaofu saw another familiar figure. It was Dongli Qingqing. Her cheeks were flushed, and the depths of her eyes were misty and moist. Inside the cave, a hidden fragrance floated. It was seductive to the bone, overturning rivers and seas. The spring scenery was enchanting and gentle, and delicate panting. All of this is real. Du Xiaofu's mind trembled violently. He originally thought that everything was a dream and was blurry. However, at this moment, it was clear before his eyes. Su Muxin and I, as well as Qingqing, have already. No wonder they disappeared. Du Xiaofu understood. His mind trembled, and the impact in his heart was not small. Chi 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 chi. In the outside world, as Du Xiaofu's mind was impacted, above the plaza, Du Xiaofu and Su Muxin's aura began to become chaotic. Chapter 12-14. Keep your mind clear and merge with the Heaven and Earth Dragon Tiger technique. We will see the deepest and most unforgettable things in each other's hearts. No matter what you see, the most important thing right now is to merge with the Heaven and Earth Dragon Tiger technique. Just as Du Xiaofu's mind was trembling, Su Muxin's voice rang out in Du Xiaofu's mind, as if the two were originally one. Du Xiaofu recovered from his trembling mind and sucked in a breath of cold air. He had almost wasted all his previous efforts. If we clear our minds of all distractions, we will be able to merge the Qianyang Dragon subduing art and the Kuan-Yin Tiger subduing art into one. When the time comes, we will be able to activate the Heaven and Earth Dragon Tiger technique. Su Muxin's voice once again rang out softly in Du Xiaofu's mind. Du Xiaofu cleared his mind of all distractions and channeled the Qianyang Dragon subduing art, entering a mysterious and wonderful state. It felt like a second, but also like a day, and also like a year. In that state, Du Xiaofu felt as if he had already connected with Su Muxin and merged with this world. It was like a fallen leaf in the wind, or a fish in the ocean. Whoosh! In the air, the talisman mystic patterns on Du Xiaofu and Su Muxin's bodies grew brighter and brighter. Gradually, the energy of heaven and earth in this part of the world also began to inexplicably undergo an extremely peculiar change. It does seem a little abnormal. Some of the most powerful cultivators from the various major factions in the surroundings suddenly lifted their eyes to look at the sky. At this moment, this part of the world had unknowingly undergone a change. A formless pressure descended from the 9 heavens, seeping out from within the world. Under that pressure, even the most powerful cultivators from the various major factions began to feel a sense of dread. Break for me! After a long time of not being able to break through Su Muxin's spiritual roots radiance, Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo also became anxious. They urged the yin-yang unification art to form a black and white halo, using all their strength to crush it. The mysterious patterns of the black and white light circle shot out like the opening of heaven and earth. The energy went berserk and crushed towards the spiritual root light screen set up by Su Muxin. Ka. The human supreme spiritual root light screen that Su Muxin had set up finally could not withstand it any longer. It began to crack and crumble under the monstrous energy. It was frightening. Walala. Finally, the human supreme spiritual root light screen set up by Su Muxin was completely shattered. The violent energy storm swept out, but after reaching a certain distance, it abruptly stopped and disappeared. Not good. As Su Muxin's human supremacy spiritual root light screen was shattered, many people's hearts were in their throats for Du Xiaofu and Su Muxin. The faces of Tang Meiling, Mu Jianchen, Jin, and the others all changed as they became even more nervous. Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo sneered as killing intent filled the air. The black and white halo pressed down with a terrifying momentum, intending to crush Du Xiaofu and Su Muxin. At this moment, Su Muxin and Du Xiaofu, who were sitting cross-legged, opened their eyes almost at the same time. Chi. As the two opened their eyes, dazzling light shot out from their eyes. Boom! The moment the two opened their eyes, the surrounding heaven and earth trembled violently for no reason. Heaven and earth in one, yin and yang depend on each other. The two of them transmitted their voices at the same time as they formed hand seals. Their auras merged into one and invisibly communicated with heaven and earth. The dazzling, mysterious patterns of the talisman permeated from the firmament in an instant. Roar! When the two of them formed their last hand seal, a green dragon shadow and a white tiger shadow coiled in front of each of them. Soaring dragon and roaring tiger, coiling dragon and crouching tiger. The huge green dragon and white tiger shadows soared into the sky as heaven and earth met. The heaven and earth were connected, and a strange change occurred, causing the surrounding space to emit chaotic chi. Faintly discernible cracks appeared in the void. That oppressive aura was enough to shake one's heart. What a powerful aura! That's a true heaven-class cultivation technique. At this moment, the experts from the various major forces who were watching the ceremony were shocked speechless. That terrifying aura was a heaven-class cultivation technique, and that kind of pressure made them tremble. Heaven and Earth Dragon and Tiger Technique. At this moment, Du Xiaofu and Su Muxin stepped into the void as their auras erupted. Their auras surged, and their bodies emitted a monstrous aura. In an instant, the two of them counterattacked. Their auras were earth-shattering, and the clouds moved in all directions. The green dragon and white tiger shadows roared. They were huge and ferocious as they crossed the space, causing the space to tremble and rumble. The green dragon and white tiger shadows emitted a dazzling light with a monstrous aura. Then, they directly collided with the black and white halo that distorted the void. At this moment, the pressure in the surroundings also reached its peak. Everyone's meridians and souls trembled, and their profound chi froze. Their bodies were trembling with fear. Everyone was terrified. What kind of divine ability was that? It actually had such divine power. The Heaven and Earth Dragon and Tiger Technique is the treasure of the Hehuan school. It's rumored to have been lost for 2,000 years. It's a heaven-class cultivation technique. Who would have thought that it would reappear in the bodies of the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, and Su Muxin? In the Sa Meng sword sect, the vigorous old man beside Mu Jianchen cried out in shock. Rumble! The green dragon and white tiger shadows suddenly collided with the black and white halo. In the next moment, a monstrous light erupted and swept across the sky like a vast ocean, covering the surrounding sky. After such a collision, the unshakable black and white halo suddenly began to crack under the collision of the green dragon and white tiger. Then, it couldn't withstand it and completely exploded. Bang bang bang. The surrounding space was torn apart as the space exploded. It looked gorgeous and destructive, as if the world was being destroyed. Shocking thunder resounded in the sky. The seal that Su Muxin had set up to freeze the space in the plaza also began to crack under such a terrifying energy. Rumble, then the ground cracked and exploded, revealing a ravine. Gravel shot out, and the earth shook. The terrifying aura leaked out like an avalanche, causing the faces of the Hehuan school's experts to change greatly. The faces of the experts from the various major forces also changed one after another. Suddenly, a large number of experts moved and gathered together to form an energy barrier, blocking the gorgeous and destructive energy in the plaza. Too strong. Everyone was shocked. At this moment, the strength of the collision between the four was actually so terrifying that it made people's hair stand on end. When the terrifying energy calmed down, the entire vast plaza was already in a mess, and the ground was cracked. Pff. In the air above the plaza, Jing Anteo and Zhao Lu's bodies were directly pushed back. Their eyes were filled with shock, and blood spurted out of their mouths. Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo were already heavily injured, and they were completely defeated, like arrows at the end of their flight. Universe Dragon Tiger Technique? You guys really cultivated the Universe Dragon Tiger Technique. Jing Anteo and Zhao Lu's eyes trembled as they looked at Su Muxin and Du Xiaofu. Their yin-yang fusion technique was no match for the Heaven and Earth Dragon Tiger art. Although Du Xiaofu's cultivation was slightly weaker, Su Muxin was a half-domain expert. With the Universe Dragon Tiger Technique, she could easily crush Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo. Zhao Lu, Jing Anteo, you two have usurped the throne and committed treason. According to the sect's rules, kill. Su Muxin soared into the air, her purple dress and hair fluttering. Killing intent surged in her eyes as she swept through the air and pounced on Jing Anteo, who was closest to her. At this moment, Jing Anteo's eyes were filled with fear. Runes erupted from his body, but he was already an arrow at the end of its flight. Du Xiaofu soared into the air and pounced on Zhao Lu. His entire body was enshrouded in golden light, like a peerless divine bird soaring through the sky. Crackle, Su Mushin made her move. Runes flickered all over her body, and waves of mysterious runes rippled around her body. Her figure was like a ghost. When Su Mushin appeared in front of Jing Anteo in an instant, the resplendent runes turned into numerous dazzling palm imprints. The palm imprints seemed real, and they emitted a shocking pressure that seemed to be able to suppress everything. The terrifying power was extremely shocking. Su Mushin's eyes flickered strangely, and it affected Jing Anteo's primordial spirit, causing him to tremble. Bang bang, numerous palm imprints landed on Jing Anteo's body, slapping him down from the air. Pif! Jing Anteo's body smashed into the ground from midair. Blood splattered everywhere, and the ground shook. As Du Xiaofu pounced towards Zhao Lu, the terror in Zhao Lu's eyes suddenly surged with a venomous glint. Zhao Lu was afraid of Su Mushin and the Universe Dragon Tiger technique, not Du Xiaofu. As long as she killed Du Xiaofu, Zhao Lu guessed that the Universe Dragon Tiger technique would be gone. Kid, you're not qualified. At the same time, Zhao Lu pounced on Du Xiaofu, her eyes filled with a strange light. Swish! A resplendent light suddenly shot out from between Zhao Lu's eyebrows. Its aura made one's heart tremble, and it turned into a resplendent spiritual sword. This spiritual sword pierced through the void. Instead of retreating, it advanced and stabbed towards Du Xiaofu's forehead. This was Zhao Lu's primordial spirit attack, the most dreadful primordial spirit attack of a spirit symbol master. In order to get rid of the haunting demon king Du Xiaofu in one fell swoop, Zhao Lu had directly activated her primordial spirit attack, wanting to get rid of him in one fell swoop. The primordial spirit attack. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu did not move. Just as the Yuan spirit attacking spirit sword was about to fly over, a bright silver-yellow lightning arc shot out from between his brows as if it had materialized. Rumble. The silver-yellow lightning arc was like thunder, accompanied by an aura that caused all primordial spirits to tremble. It swept out with lightning speed and directly collided with the former. Almost with an unstoppable force, the silver-yellow electric arc directly smashed apart Zhao Lu's spiritual sword primordial spirit attack. Chapter 12:15. Translator. H2H2 Mr. In terms of primordial spirit attacks, Du Xiaofu was currently the most confident. Du Xiaofu's cultivation had already reached the level of an 8-star primordial spirit talisman master. His primordial spirit was originally powerful and vigorous. Furthermore, he had fused 2 types of spirit lightning soul seeds and spirit root into one. The heavily injured Zhao Lu's primordial spirit attack was nothing to Du Xiaofu. After shattering Zhao Lu's primordial spirit attack and destroying her primordial spirit sword, Du Xiaofu was also quite astonished. After fusing 2 types of spirit lightning soul seeds and his own unique spirit root, his primordial spirit had a vast power that was incomparably powerful, as if it could suppress all primordial spirits. Puff puff. After her primordial spirit attack was damaged, Zhao Lu once again spat out dark red blood. Her face was as pale as ash, and the originally alluring gaze in her eyes was now filled with fear. Leaving a mark and energy on my body to let me undo the seal, and finally wanting to kill me. Not bad at all. Du Xiaofu soared into the sky, his entire body erupting with golden light. His eyes were overflowing with killing intent. Towards someone who had once wanted to kill him, Du Xiaofu would not let them go. Bang! Almost at the same time, Su Mushin's beautiful figure landed on the square. A stream of light swept through the sky and once again landed on Jing Anteo's body, causing his struggling body to be blasted away along with a mist of blood. The surrounding Hehuan school disciples were aghast. Those elders who followed Zhao Lu and Jing Anteo looked at each other in dismay, their faces filled with shock. Zhao Lu's eyes were filled with fear. She had already suffered a crushing defeat, but her eyes were soon filled with resentment and a cold sneer. She had not lost yet. Looking at Du Xiaofu and Su Mushin, Zhao Lu's voice was ear-piercing and cold as she said, "You think you've won? Unfortunately, you won't win. Even if you cultivate the Universe Dragon Tiger technique, you still won't win. Kiki. When her sneer fell, Zhao Lu coldly stared at Du Xiaofu. A cold light surged, causing people to feel a chill. Looking into the depths of the sky, she loudly said, "Master, please clean up the Hehuan schools. There really is someone behind this." Du Xiaofu's gaze darkened, a chilling intent surging within his eyes. A claw imprint of golden light abruptly swept across the air, distorting the void. A tyrannical and fierce aura instantly shook the void, spreading towards Zhao Lu in an instant, intending to strike first to gain the upper hand. Hehuan School is not a place for a junior like you to act impudently. In that split second, a figure like a ghost appeared in front of Zhao Lu. The newcomer was an old woman in her 70s. Her hair was tied up in a bun, and her face was cold. Her skin was loose, and she stretched out her hand, distorting the space. Circles of black spatial cracks spread from her palm, as if she was squeezing the space in her palm. She directly crushed Du Xiaofu's golden claw. A terrifying aura descended upon the square. As the aura spread out, the entire Hehuan school seemed to freeze. 9-star Spirit Talisman Master. Beside Mu Genshin of the Sa Meng Sword Sect, the old man with a vigorous aura suddenly stood up, his eyes trembling. That was the aura of a true 9-star Spirit Talisman Master. "Impudent in my Hehuan school, go to hell." The old woman appeared and crushed one of Du Xiaofu's golden claw imprints. Her flabby palm was covered with runes, and it immediately became resplendent. It transformed into a palm imprint that directly slammed towards Du Xiaofu's forehead. A terrifying energy shook space. "Kiki," Zhao Lu sneered. In her imagination, she already knew the result without even looking. Under her master's attack, Du Xiaofu was dead for sure. "Be careful." At the edge of the square, Jian and Tang Meiling turned pale with fright. Their charming faces were filled with horror. "Be careful," Su Muxin cried out in astonishment. She wanted to help, but a ghost-like figure of an old man appeared before her, and a resplendent, mysterious rune energy wrapped around her. Martial Domain Realm. Su Muxin's eyes narrowed, and her charming face changed. She knew who the old man was. Crackle. Just as Su Muxin was about to defend herself, a yellow lightning quietly appeared and landed in front of Su Muxin. "Shameless thing, haven't you embarrassed the Hehuan school enough?" As the old man cursed, the resplendent mysterious runes that wrapped around Su Muxin were destroyed, and a palm imprint landed on the old man's face. "Pa!" A crisp sound rang out, and the old man with a martial domain realm cultivation was sent flying like an ant. "As the supreme elder of the Hehuan school, you allowed your disciple to run amok, and now you even dare to attack a disciple who cultivates the universe dragon tiger technique. Do you think the sect rules don't exist, and no one can deal with you?" At the same time, an indifferent female voice sounded out in front of Du Xiaofu. Just as the old woman's palm imprint was about to land on Du Xiaofu's forehead, a beautiful figure quietly appeared. As the beautiful figure appeared, a resplendent yellow arc of lightning quietly swept out from her body and directly appeared in the old woman's palm. Pucci. As the yellow arc of lightning descended, the old woman seemed to have suffered a heavy injury. The palm imprint dissipated as she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her eyes were filled with shock as her old body was sent flying. All of this happened in the time it took to breathe. It was too much for the eyes to take in, and it was difficult for them to react. An old man, an old woman, a martial domain realm expert, and a 9-star spirit symbol master expert. At this moment, one of them was sent flying by a slap, while the other was sent flying. Both of them were vomiting blood. At this moment, in the sky above the plaza, a wild and unruly middle-aged man with shoulder-length yellow hair and a middle-aged woman with a temperament appeared. The two of them floated in the air and looked around the plaza. The invisible aura that spread out from their bodies caused everyone's hearts to palpitate. "Greetings, Ancestral Master Ru Kuang and Ancestral Master Dreamlike." As the wild middle-aged man with shoulder-length yellow hair and the temperament woman appeared, Su Muxin's moving face heaved a sigh of relief and immediately bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Ancestral Master Ru Kuang and Ancestral Master Dreamlike." Jian and Tang Meiling were stunned, and then their faces were filled with pleasant surprise. Su Muxin immediately bowed. Greetings, Big Brother Kuang. Du Xiaofu was stunned. The ones who came were naturally Ru Meng and Ru Kuang. He then smiled bitterly. It seemed that although Ru Meng and Ru Kuang said that they would not interfere in the matters of the younger generation, they had been secretly watching. Seeing that the Hehuan School's Martial Domain Realm and 9-star Spirit Talisman Master had interfered, they finally appeared. Ancestor Ru Kuang, Ancestor Meng. The old man and the old woman who were sent flying stood together. When they heard Su Muxin, Tang Meiling and the others bowing, their pale faces suddenly looked as if they had seen a ghost. The old man and the old woman stared at Ru Meng and Ru Kuang in the air. Their eyes twitched fiercely as they said, "You are the 36th generation sect master, the two ancestors, Ru Meng and Ru Kuang? Bastards, the Hehuan School is in a mess because of you, and you actually dare to usurp power. How should the four of you be punished?" Ru Kuang flew into a rage as he pointed at the old woman and the old man and cursed. "Ancestor, please calm down. There's a reason for this. It's..." Zheng Anteo struggled to get up as he sized up the situation that had suddenly appeared. His eyes trembled as he gritted his teeth in shock. He raised his head to look at the two ancestors and opened his mouth to explain something. However, before Zheng Anteo could finish his words, his face was slapped by Ru Kuang. Puchi, blood and teeth spurted out from his mouth as Zheng Anteo's body was ruthlessly sent flying. Bastard, do you think I don't know anything? With my violent temper, I'll destroy you bastards today." Ru Kuang cursed loudly without any trace of politeness as a cold glint flashed across his eyes. "Ancestor, please calm down. We know our wrongs." The old woman and old man's eyes trembled as they immediately knelt down and kowtowed. In front of the 30th generation ancestor, they didn't even have the qualifications to resist. Zhao Lu trembled as her gaze changed greatly. Chapter 12:17. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu was not surprised that Zhao Lu, Zheng Anteo, and the two grand elders had not been executed. Back then, Du Xiaofu had killed several revered martial artists of the Hehuan School. Zhao Lu, Zheng Anteo, and the Martial Domain Realm and 9-star Spirit Symbol Master were the pillars of the Hehuan School. If they were really executed this time, it would cause the strength of the Hehuan School to plummet. This was definitely not a good thing for the entire Hehuan School. Therefore, Du Xiaofu was not surprised at all by the outcome. He was afraid that even Ruming and Kuang, the two domain lords, would not easily get rid of those people. However, with Ruming and Kuang, the two domain lords, they would most likely have absolute fear in the future. "This matter does not have much to do with me. You just have to be careful," Du Xiaofu said. He did not have the chance to kill Zhao Lu and the others yesterday, but in the future, the threat to him would be much smaller, so it was not a big deal. "You are now the Hehuan School's school supervisor, so I have to inform you," Su Muxin said softly. Her voice was soft and gentle, and seemed to be filled with charm. Her cherry-like red lips rippled on her exquisite and flawless face. Her eyes looked at Du Xiaofu calmly as she said, "If you are not willing to become the Hehuan School's school supervisor, you can look for Ruming and Kuang and explain it clearly to them." "Where are Big Brother Kuang and the others?" Du Xiaofu asked. "I don't know where the two grand elders are. They said that after 2,000 years, they want to go out for a walk and see how many of their old friends are left." Su Muxin looked at Du Xiaofu, her clear eyes revealing traces of charm, soul-stirring. Her jet-black hair flowed down to her slender waist. After a moment of hesitation, she said softly, "Do you not want to become the Hehuan School's school supervisor that much?" "That's not what I meant." Du Xiaofu shook his head and leisurely raised his eyes. Holding his breath, he looked out of the main hall. It was early in the morning, the surroundings were cloudy, and flowers were blooming. He sighed softly. "What?" Su Muxin looked at Du Xiaofu and asked. Du Xiaofu sighed. Under his sleeves, he clenched his fists, then relaxed them. He smoothed out his sleeves and suppressed his sadness, pretending that nothing had happened. He looked at Su Muxin and said, "I was a disciple of Tianwu Academy. Tianwu Academy was destroyed in the end. I'm a disciple of the 7-Star Hall. The 7-Star Hall was massacred. My master, the revered equipment master, Xiahou Fenglei, is missing. No one knows whether my martial uncles are dead or alive. The devil religion's divine radiance court is looking for me. If I become a disciple of the Hehuan school, I'm afraid that I'll bring trouble to the Hehuan school. Su Muxin looked at Du Xiaofu and didn't say anything. She smiled faintly and looked out of the main hall. At this moment she walked gracefully and said softly, "Don't worry. The Hehuan school isn't a school that can be destroyed by just anyone. The two patriarchs already know a little about your situation. At the same time, they wanted me to tell you that when the two patriarchs obtained the Thunder of Earth, they were also fought over by the devil religion. Now that the Thunder of Earth is in your possession, the two patriarchs want you to be on the lookout for the people from the devil religion. The people from the devil religion seem to be searching for spiritual minds. However, the Hehuan school isn't afraid of the devil religion. If the devil religion dares to come, they will have to pay a heavy price. The top cultivators of the devil religion are probably restrained by something and can't come out to fight." Su Muxin's beautiful figure was already outside the main hall. Her soft voice resounded in the main hall. She said, "All the major forces have left early in the morning. During this time, you can walk around the Hehuan school. You are now the headmaster of the Hehuan school. You can go anywhere. Maybe some mysterious places will be beneficial to you." Su Muxin had already left the main hall when she finished speaking. Du Xiaofu stood in the main hall for a while and then left as well. "Greetings, headmaster." "Greetings, headmaster." Walking in the Hehuan school, many disciples bowed to Du Xiaofu along the way. Their eyes were full of reverence and respect. Many female disciples even looked at him with charming eyes. The Demon King, Du Xiaofu, was the leader of the 13 mystical heroes. He was the strongest of the younger generation in Kyushu. He was domineering twice in the Manchu. As a member of the younger generation, he was able to kill a chaotic element martial saint. This kind of strength was what all the Hehuan school disciples yearned for. Du Xiaofu found a few young disciples he met along the way and asked them about the Hehuan school. He learned that the Hehuan school had several mysterious places that could be used to train disciples. Hehuan school also had a Yinkuan pavilion on Yinkuan Mountain. The Yinkuan pavilion was a forbidden area in the Hehuan school. It hid the cultivation methods, martial arts techniques, and treasures of the Hehuan school. Ordinary disciples didn't even have the right to get close to it. The best disciples of the Hehuan school could only enter the bottom few floors of the Yinkuan pavilion. Even ordinary elders didn't have the right to go to the top few floors of the Yinkuan pavilion. Anyway, he had nothing to do in the Hehuan school. Du Xiaofu wasn't interested in the mysterious places that were used to train disciples. There were all kinds of training in the ancient desolate space. Instead, Du Xiaofu was more interested in the Yinkuan pavilion. If the other party's primordial spirit was much stronger than the searchers, then the chances of a successful search would be very slim. Among the divine soul skills, there was also the soul tracking technique, which could leave a yuan spirit mark on the other party's body. No matter where the other party was, one could easily find out, and it would be difficult for the other party to find out. However, if the other party found out, there would be the danger of being tracked back. Du Xiaofu remembered the soul-searching technique and the soul-tracking technique. Back then, Zhao Lu had used it on him. It could be said to be wonderful and had many wonderful uses at special times. It has some wonderful uses. Du Xiaofu smiled slightly. He was also very interested in some of the records of the divine soul skills. Then, he immersed himself in comprehending and cultivating. The spirit techniques collected in the divine soul skills were definitely not easy to cultivate. No matter how good one's talent was, it would still take a long time. However, for a freak like Du Xiaofu, everything was different. It was almost a smooth journey. In just a few days, he had successfully cultivated the divine soul skills. If Zhao Lu knew that Du Xiaofu had successfully cultivated the spirit techniques recorded in the divine soul skills in just a few days, she would have dug herself into the ground. One must know that she was known as the existence whose talent was second only to sect master Su Muxin in the Hehuan school. Although her cultivation was only at the 7-star stage at that time, it took her several years to successfully cultivate all the spirit techniques recorded in the Divine Soul Skills. Hugh, exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Du Xiaofu stood up and stretched his body. All the joints in his body crackled. The harvest is not small. Du Xiaofu murmured softly. With a thought, the space fluctuated and his figure appeared on the 9th floor of the Universe Pavilion. With a wave of his hand, the ancient desolate space was stored in between his eyebrows. Greetings, Sect Supervisor. Du Xiaofu walked out of the Universe Pavilion. The elder who was guarding the Universe Pavilion greeted him and said, Jian came to look for Sect Supervisor a few days ago. It seems that there is an urgent matter. Tian. Du Xiaofu nodded his head and flew away. I didn't expect Sect Supervisor to be so young. He should be the youngest Sect Supervisor in the history of our Hahuan school, right? In front of the Universe Pavilion, looking at Du Xiaofu's back view, a disciple's eyes were filled with yearning. Sect Supervisor is the head of the 12 heroes. He is the #1 person in the younger generation of Kyushu. I heard from the elders that our Sect Supervisor has the highest chance of becoming the youngest person to step into the martial domain realm. A handsome young man in luxurious clothes said to a few young men and women beside him. Chapter 12:19. There's news. The expression in Du Xiaofu's eyes changed. The last time he asked Mu Jianshan to look for news, it was about little Xingxing and his master, Xiahou Fengli. If that was the case, Mu Jianshan definitely had news about little Xingxing or his master, Xiahou Fengli. Jian, I have to find Mu Jianshan as soon as possible. Where's your master? Du Xiaofu asked Jiji Yanwen. Regardless of whether Mu Jianshan had news about little Xingxing or his master, revered equipment master Xiahou Fengli, he had to make a trip there as soon as possible. Master said that he had some enlightenment recently and has gone into seclusion. Ji Jian said to Du Xiaofu, Master said that no one in Hahuan school can control Big Brother Dabai. You can do whatever you want. Yes, I have to go to the sealed ancient land in Shangzhou, Du Xiaofu said. Will Big Brother Dabai come back? Ji Jian raised her head, her eyes filled with anticipation. She already knew that the tall youth in front of her was the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. His world was very big. The Hahuan school might not be big enough for him. Back then, her master had vaguely mentioned to her that his world was different from hers. Du Xiaofu didn't know how to answer. He had never even thought about this question. Back then, he didn't have a good impression of the Hahuan school. But in the end, he didn't expect that after going around in circles, he would become the supervisor of the Hahuan school. If I have time, I will come back. Du Xiaofu smiled helplessly. The setting sun shrouded the Hahuan school. Whoosh! A golden rainbow figure flew away from the Hahuan school, disappearing in midair in a flash. That guy left. He really left without hesitation. On a towering mountain peak, the setting sun shone down. Tang Meiling looked at the disappearing figure of the golden rainbow in the distance, and her mouth twitched slightly. Hahuan school won't be able to keep him. He still has too many things to do. He doesn't have time to waste, Su Muxin said softly. Her voice was soft and gentle. Under the faint glow of the sunset, she was devastatingly beautiful, majestic, and charming. Junior sister, why are you speaking up for that brat? Don't you hate him? Tang Meiling turned around and looked suspiciously at Su Muxin. She raised her slender brows and asked, That day, the two of you merged with the Universe Dragon Tiger technique. It said that in order to merge with the Universe Dragon Tiger technique, both of you must have the same mind so that you can understand each other's deepest thoughts. What did you see? Hearing this, Su Muxin's eyes went blank for a moment. Inside, she saw a foolish young master who was mercilessly ridiculed by others. He longed for a family reunion and bore the grudge of the school. He was the Demon King who intimidated Kyushu. He was also the elder brother who dug out his heart to save his sister. No one could empathize with him, but inside, she could clearly feel everything about him. She didn't know why, but her heart ached for him. It turned out that he wasn't what he seemed on the surface. I didn't see anything. After a moment, Su Muxin turned around. Her slender and enchanting body was gentle and alluring. The sunset glow of the mountain peak rose in spirals. Her exposed eyes were like limpid autumn waters, and her muslin dress was like the wings of a butterfly. A trace of a smile appeared on her lips. She raised her head and said, "When I merged with the universe dragon tiger technique, I gained some enlightenment. I will go into seclusion for a period of time. I will leave the Hahuan school to you, senior sister." As her gentle voice faded, Su Muxin's beautiful figure descended the mountain and left. Sigh, Tang Miling softly sighed. She looked at the sky and then at the foot of the mountain. Her dress shook and fluttered. Her beautiful figure outlined a beautiful arc as she immediately got up and left. Shang Province. The cleansing of the evil spirits by the Evil Purifying Alliance had reached the final stage. The mighty army covered the sky and covered the earth, causing the evil spirits to retreat step by step. In the end, they retreated into the sealed ancient land. Every continent above Kyushu had a sealed ancient land. Those evil spirits had surged out from the sealed ancient land. At this moment, the evil spirits in Shang Province had already retreated into the sealed ancient land. Although the sealed ancient land had already appeared, it was still dim and gloomy. Death aura and desolation permeated the space. The air was filled with a bloody aura and baleful aura that wouldn't dissipate. The ground was covered in white bones, and there was a faint smell of decay in the air. Woo-woo, ghostly cries and godlike howls rang out from time to time. Regardless of whether it was day or night, it was unknown whether it was the cries of wild beasts or evil spirits. Baleful aura permeated the vast mountain range. "Tiserize, come quickly." The eerie voice reverberated through the valley. Dozens of figures appeared in the deathly silent valley, causing the surroundings to freeze. There was no doubt that the strength of these dozens of figures had reached a terrifying level. What was even more peculiar was that these figures were slightly illusory, but their eyes were scarlet red. "Lord Evil Ruler, those humans are increasing in number. They should be waiting for the final battle." A middle-aged man covered in a black robe spoke to a figure covered in a blood-red robe in front of him. His eyes were glowing with a faint red light. "Then let them have the final battle. Let them feel the dawn of victory." The blood-red robed man slightly raised his head. His eyes were like two seas of blood. His voice was sharp and chilling as he said, "Those puny humans, do they really think that we will be defeated so easily? Let them send all of them to their deaths. Go and prepare the nourishment to welcome us. Let those puny humans become our stepping stones. When the time comes, the entire Shang province will be ours." "Yes, Lord Evil Ruler," the dozens of figures replied in unison. One by one, the figures turned illusory. Waves of baleful aura spread out and instantly disappeared from the valley. As the dozens of figures turned illusory and left, a figure silently appeared in the valley. His eyes were suffused with lightning, and he wore a yellow robe. If Du Xiaofu was here, he would definitely be able to recognize that this person was the Yin Thunder Old Man of the Devil religion. But now, this fellow had appeared in the sealed ancient land of the Shang province. "Why you here?" Looking at the Yin Thunder Old Man, the blood-red robed man slightly turned around and raised his head. "There can be no accidents in this battle. I'm just here to remind you," the Yin Thunder Old Man said to the blood-red robed man. His eyes flickered with lightning, and his expression was not good. "Don't worry, there won't be any accidents. Those humans are selfish. They think that we can easily deal with them, but they don't know that we have been preparing for a long time. We are just waiting for them to come and die. No one will be able to escape." The blood-red robed man sneered. The Yin Thunder Old Man looked at the blood-red robed man and said, "I hope so. When you succeed, it will be a great contribution. I don't need your reminder. Everything is under control. When those human experts find out, it will be too late." The blood-red robed man said coldly. He did not seem to be interested in the Yin Thunder Old Man. The Yin Thunder Old Man's expression was cold. He looked at the blood-red robed man and said, "Shwes, don't forget who is behind you. Do you think you can get to where you are now by yourself? My Lord Deputy Envoy, don't forget that I will break through another layer after this battle. At that time, it's hard to say who will listen to whom. You failed several times. That's why the church sent you to Shangzhou to assist me. You'd better pray that there won't be any accident this time. Otherwise, you'll definitely be the unlucky one. The blood-red robed man looked at the Een Thunder old man. His blood-red eyes flickered. He smiled coldly and said, "But don't worry, after I break through another layer, I will help you because you have helped me." Hee hee. Chapter 12:20. Shui Xie's figure turned into a bloody mist and disappeared. The Een Thunder old man's eyelids twitched as he watched the blood mist dissipate. A ruthless glint flashed across his eyes as he sneered and muttered, "It's just an illusory body." In the dark space, even though it was daytime, the light was dim. The setting sun shone in the boundless sky. It was covered by a blood-red aura and dyed red as it hung in the sky. The faint blood-red light seemed to have covered the space with a layer of blood-red clouds. A faint murderous aura filled the air, causing people's hearts to palpitate. In the vast mountain range plains, there were densely packed figures everywhere. Some people were discussing in low voices, but no one was making a ruckus. Some people were sitting cross-legged, adjusting their breathing and recovering from their injuries. The crowd seemed to cover the sky and earth, densely packed everywhere. It was as if they wanted to cross this vast space. There were more than hundreds of millions of them. On a towering mountain peak, there was a huge tent that was temporarily set up. At this moment, there were about 200 people in the tent. Only a few dozen people were qualified to be seated, while the others stood on both sides. These figures stood quietly, and faint ripples appeared in the space. The surrounding space looked extremely calm, but at this moment, those with sharp senses would feel a terrifying pressure that could cause people to explode if they got close to the tent on the mountain peak. Every single person in this tent had a cultivation base that was definitely among the strongest. Inside the tent, it was quiet, and the atmosphere was slightly heavy. This was especially so for an extraordinary young man sitting in the middle. On his handsome face, his eyes seemed to be deep in thought. However, this kind of contemplation did not affect his temperament at all. Instead, it added to his charm. Although the extraordinary young man was still young in the tent, he was filled with the pressure and confidence of a person of high status. He also had a faint arrogance. This kind of arrogance did not make people unhappy at all. Instead, it added to his charm and elegance. The young man was Shang Province's Evil Purifying Alliance's leader, Mu Jianxin. During this period, his reputation in the Evil Purifying Alliance had been rising. All the major forces had witnessed what Mu Jianxin had done during this period of time. If it weren't for his decisions, the evil spirits wouldn't have been wiped out so quickly. His decisions had allowed the Evil Purifying Alliance to achieve complete victory and reduce their losses. Even the elders of the other forces who were originally disdainful of Mu Jianxin turned into astonishment and lamentation when they saw his performance during this period of time. The experts of the various major forces were secretly envious of the Sa Meng sword sect for having a successor. Mu Tianhong's son had surpassed his father, and it wouldn't be long before the Sa Meng sword sect would truly stand at the top of the 8 major forces under his leadership. It's been 3 days. Those evil spirits have not made any big moves for 3 days. There are only a few stragglers who occasionally launch probing attacks. It's more like they are deliberately delaying us. Inside the quiet tent, Mu Jianxin slightly raised his head and swept his eyes across the entire tent. At that moment, the tent was filled with the top powers from the mountain, island, 2 churches, for sects and other forces. Many of them had reached the martial honorable realm. Everyone's bodies were more or less stained with some blood qi. In this period of time, the number of evil spirits that had died in their hands was uncountable. This was especially so for the 8-star spiritual talisman masters and martial honorable realm experts. At their level of cultivation, they could move mountains and seas with a wave of their hands and feet. Cleansing those ordinary evil spirits was like a massacre. Hearing Mu Jianxin's words, the eyes of everyone in the tent moved. One of the elders who was seated below, and from his position, one could tell that his position in the Purifying Evil Alliance wasn't low. He said to Mu Jianxin, "The evil spirits have been retreating. If they are not taking the initiative to attack, I'm afraid that most of them are recuperating." I think that we should not give them any time to rest. We should take the initiative to attack and completely eliminate those evil spirits. Elder Yu is right. We should take the initiative to attack and eliminate them all. This elder was an elder of the Everclear Island and his cultivation was extremely high. Among the various major forces of the Alliance, his cultivation was enough to be ranked in the top 3. Thus, when he spoke, there were many echoes of his words. I suspect that there is a conspiracy behind those evil spirits. Otherwise, those evil spirits would not be retreating like this. We have been chasing them all the way and won every place we passed. There were not many obstructions. Mu Jianchen furrowed his brows and said worriedly, "Didn't everyone notice that in the past half a month, we have not encountered many evil spirits that are martial honorable realm and above? I have a feeling that they are plotting something and have been waiting for us for a long time." Hearing Mu Jianchen's words, the people in the tent whispered to each other. Alliance Master's worries are not without reason. However, Elder Yu is right. No matter what, this battle is imperative. If we continue to wait, I'm afraid that we will give those evil spirits more opportunities. Thus, we should take the initiative to attack. A middle-aged man who was sitting upright said in a deep voice. His body was rippling with a fiendish aura and his eyes revealed a faint sharpness. When everyone in the tent heard the fiendish middle-aged man's words, they all looked at Mu Jianchen and waited for his answer. Under everyone's gazes, Mu Jianchen raised his head slightly and looked at the last seat in the tent. He asked, "Venerable Ice Dragon, when will Brother Do arrive?" Fush. Swish. As Mu Jianchen's voice fell, the gazes in the tent immediately fell on an old man who was sitting on the last seat. He was an elder of the Hehuan school. The current Hehuan school had existences like Su Muxin, Zhao Lu, and Zheng Anteo. Now, with the addition of the demon king Du Xiaofu, who had become the sect supervisor of the Hehuan school, as well as the 2 experts from 2,000 years ago, the Hehuan school's position in the alliance had unknowingly risen by a lot. Most of the people in the tent had been to the Hehuan school not long ago. They also knew that the person Mu Jianchen was talking about was the demon king Du Xiaofu. On the day of the Hehuan school's chaos, everyone had personally witnessed that the demon king Du Xiaofu's strength had already reached a terrifying level. At this moment, the martial domain realm experts of the various major powers had yet to come out of the evil purifying alliance. Under the martial domain realm, the current demon king Du Xiaofu was definitely a terrifying existence. If he could come, he would be a great help. The old man was wearing a gray robe with a white dragon embroidered on it. Hearing Mu Jianchen's words, he felt somewhat helpless and apologetic as he replying to the Alliance Master, "Our Hehuan school has sent news that the sect supervisor is currently in seclusion. Therefore, we don't know when he will be able to come." "That guy is in seclusion again." Mu Jianchen raised his eyebrows. He was somewhat disappointed. Although that demon king Du Xiaofu is very strong, we have the Alliance's army. Although that demon king can be a great help if he comes, he won't be able to play a decisive role. Demon King Du Xiaofu is very powerful. However, we are currently facing an endless army of evil spirits. We have to rely on the entire Alliance's army. Demon King Du Xiaofu alone won't be able to affect the overall situation. Inside the tent, the others continued to whisper. No one doubted the strength of the Demon King Du Xiaofu. However, most of them believed that the Demon King Du Xiaofu alone wouldn't be able to play a significant role in the alliance. Let's wait for tomorrow. Tonight, we will dispatch some fast experts to scout for information. Let's see what those evil spirits are planning. The day after tomorrow, let's prepare for the final battle. After a moment, Mu Jianchen said. Mu Jianchen also knew that the army couldn't delay any longer. The longer they delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for the evil purifying alliance. At night, the space was dark. In the night, a dark cloud floated in the sky, covering the originally dim moonlight. Whoosh! That dark cloud approached and dispersed. Then, it strangely turned into thousands of illusory evil spirits. Inform the army to approach. The evil sovereign has ordered us to kill those humans tomorrow. A faint and cold voice spread out. the thousands of evil spirits instantly disappeared into the night. Kiki, puny humans. Tomorrow, you will know how powerful we are. The remaining human figure had a pair of sharp horns on his head. His entire body was shrouded in a jet-black baleful aura. His eyes were filled with a frightening red light in the night. Suddenly, the evil spirit figure seemed to have sensed something and looked at the sky. There was a faint sound of wind breaking. After a few breaths, a golden rainbow figure suddenly rushed out from the depths of the sky. The golden figure was extremely fast. In a flash, he crossed the space and appeared in the sky. Then, as if he sensed something, he instantly floated in the air. The golden rainbow disappeared, revealing a purple-robed youth. The purple-robed youth's face was resolute and determined. His figure was tall and straight. The purple robe was extremely fitting, making his tall figure even more tall and straight. His eyes were filled with a deep light in the night sky, clear and bright. The person who came was Du Xiaofu, who had rushed over from the Hehuan school. He had also changed into the clothes that Ji Jian had personally sewn. It was extremely fitting and comfortable. Even a pair of light purple boots was very fitting. Just as Du Xiaofu floated in the air as if he was sizing something up, a monstrous baleful aura suddenly swept over in front of him. Boom! Immediately, the entire space trembled. A black light filled the air, causing the surroundings to become pitch black. Woo! Strong winds blew, and the faint sound of ghosts crying and gods howling could be heard in the sky. It was extremely terrifying. Bang bang! Space exploded one after another, and terrifying energy swept out. When the baleful energy dissipated and the surrounding light returned to normal, an evil spirit with 2 feet on its head and blood-red eyes appeared in the air. Its blood-red eyes revealed a look of doubt. "Are you looking for me?" At the same time, a faint voice was heard. Then, a purple-robed figure appeared in front of the evil spirit like a ghost. Chapter 12:21. The purple-robed figure had a smile on his face, but there was a hint of coldness in his smile. It was Du Xiaofu who had just disappeared. Seeing the human figure appear again, the evil spirit's expression changed. Immediately, a torrential murderous aura swept out from its body. Instantly, the murderous aura filled the sky and the space turned pitch black once again. Boom! The evil spirit clenched its fist and the murderous aura in the sky turned into dark clouds. A huge handprint was formed and immediately slapped towards Du Xiaofu. That terrifying aura was comparable to that of a beginner martial honorable. "You're still too weak." Du Xiaofu's eyes twitched slightly as purple flames flickered in his eyes. Against these evil spirits, the most masculine cultivation methods and superpowers were their nemesis. Purple flames swept out from his body and turned into a purple pillar of flames that collided directly with the dark cloud handprint. Bang! The two collided and a terrifying blazing aura and murderous aura swept out in all directions. However, the murderous aura was swallowed by the purple flames at the same time as it was shattered. The surrounding mountains exploded one after another from the aftershocks of the energy. Human expert. At this moment, the evil spirit seemed to have sensed something and its expression changed drastically. Shock flashed across its scarlet eyes and its figure was about to fly away. Walala, however, the purple pillar of flames turned into a terrifying flaming storm that swept over and directly enveloped the evil spirit. A hint of viciousness flashed across the evil spirit's eyes. It roared furiously and its murderous aura surged out in all directions. It turned into an illusory, ferocious exotic beast that was 100 feet tall. It had 2 horns on its head and sharp fangs in its bloody mouth as it struggled to break free from the purple flames around it. Evil beast! Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in the purple flames. His eyes were cold and his face was fierce. A handprint wrapped in purple flames landed directly on the head of the ferocious exotic beast. Boom! A dull explosion sounded and the ferocious exotic beast's body was directly destroyed and exploded, turning into a torrential murderous aura. "Human, you're courting death." A beam of dazzling light shot into Du Xiaofu's forehead. A monstrous baleful aura immediately filled Du Xiaofu's mind, as if it wanted to destroy Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. Ah! But a moment later, a scream came from Du Xiaofu's mind. I wonder if I can use soul search on evil spirits? Du Xiaofu floated in the air. Suddenly he closed his eyes. That dazzling rune light was the origin spirit of the evil spirit. That evil spirit wanted to destroy Du Xiaofu's Yuan Xin and possess Du Xiaofu's body. This was also a method that evil spirits were hard to deal with. However, this method did not have much effect on Du Xiaofu. In fact, Du Xiaofu was completely fearless. With 2 types of spiritual thunder soul seeds fused into one and a spiritual root in his body, even if that evil spirit was 10 times or 100 times stronger, it would not be able to threaten Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. After a moment, Du Xiaofu's closed eyes suddenly opened. The evil spirit's primordial spirit had been absorbed and refined by the silvernet soul-devouring lightning in his Naiwan palace. Although the benefits that Du Xiaofu could obtain in the end were less than 1/10, it was still a lot. Compared to the normal cultivation of the primordial spirit, it was undoubtedly much faster. This was also the perverse part of the silvernet soul-devouring lightning. Although the silvernet soul-devouring lightning, shattering earth thunder, and spiritual root in Du Xiaofu's mind had all fused together, all the powers that they contained did not disappear. In fact, they even gave birth to a new aura. Not good. After opening his eyes, Du Xiaofu's expression turned solemn. Just now, Du Xiaofu had tried to see if he could use the soul-searching technique on the evil spirits. In the end, the result he obtained was that the evil spirits were making arrangements all over the sealed ancient land. Many evil spirit masters had been hiding, preparing to attack the human army tomorrow. What made Du Xiaofu the most solemn was that the evil spirits seemed to have prepared a powerful trump card that could wipe out the Demon Purifying Alliance in one fell swoop. The evil spirit status in the evil spirit army was not low, but it was not high enough to know about the powerful trump card. Therefore, it did not know what the powerful trump card was, which made Du Xiaofu even more solemn. There were many disciples of the Hehuan school in the Demon Purifying Alliance. Du Xiaofu was now the supervisor of the Hehuan school and had also benefited from the Hehuan school. Moreover, Mu Jianchen was the alliance master of the Demon Purifying Alliance. This made Du Xiaofu worried. I hope there's still time to inform them. Otherwise, I'm afraid it'll be troublesome. Du Xiaofu looked at the sky in front of him and then his figure flashed, disappearing in midair. Early in the morning, in the sealed ancient land, a baleful aura drifted in the dark clouds. Have the experts we sent out last night returned? In the tent on the mountain peak, Mu Jianchen's expression was solemn as he asked the people around him. Not a single one returned. Everyone shook their heads. Last night, many experts were sent out to inquire about the news, but none of them had returned. Alliance Master, it's not good. At this moment, someone rushed in from outside the tent. His expression was grave, his complexion was pale, his body was dripping with blood, and his aura was weak. Venerable Bai Tai, what happened to you? Mu Jianchen immediately got up. Many people in the tent had already gathered around to support him. That was a venerable from Mount Jiuhua. He was also one of the experts sent out last night to inquire about the news. Alliance Master, the evil spirits are coming in large numbers. They seem to know that we're going to inquire about the news. We've been besieged by those evil spirits. I'm afraid the others are already in danger, said Venerable Bai Tai. Woo woo, roar. As soon as Venerable Bai Tai's voice fell, the low cries of ghosts and gods, as well as the roars of beasts, reverberated in the sky, making people tremble for no reason. It's the evil spirit army. Everyone in the tent was shocked. They immediately rushed out of the tent and went to the mountain peak. At this moment, everyone was standing on the mountain peak and looking into the distance. In the distance, the cries of ghosts and gods, as well as the roars of beasts, could be heard from all directions and in midair. In the sky, black and bloody fog spread, covering the sky and the sun. The baleful aura was oppressive. Finally, under the black and bloody fog, countless human-shaped evil spirits and beast-shaped evil spirits appeared. They were densely packed, covering the distant mountain peak and midair. They covered the sky and covered the sky until the end of the line of sight. Woo woo! The shocking cries of ghosts and gods, as well as the roars of beasts, came from the evil spirits in the distance. It was as if the entire sealed ancient land was trembling. Not good, the evil spirit army is coming. Haven't we already cleaned up those evil spirits? Why are there still so many of them? The evil purifying alliance's army stood up, and their figures also covered the sky and the earth. As the monstrous baleful aura swept over from all directions, the evil purifying alliance's army looked into the distance with solemn eyes, secretly trembling. During this period of time, the evil purifying alliance had been cleaning up the evil spirits, but they had never encountered so many evil spirits. On the towering mountain peak, Mu Genshin and the other experts from various major forces looked solemnly at the evil spirits that blotted out the sky and covered the earth in all directions as they inwardly sucked in cold breaths. The evil spirits are expanding too quickly. They are devouring each other and absorbing our origin spirits and soul essences. The progress of their strength is far from what we can compare to. It has only been a short period of time, but they have already developed to such a stage. In the future, they will be able to occupy the entire Shang province. Mu Genshin took a deep breath, and a fierce look surged in his eyes as he said, "It seems that they have indeed made arrangements and deliberately lured us here." "Alliance Master, what should we do now?" a middle-aged man asked Mu Genshin. He looked at the evil spirit army in the distance, and his expression was very grave. "Now that things have come to this, we can only fight. I hope that those evil spirits are not hiding too much of their strength. If it is beyond our control, then we will be in big trouble today." Mu Genshin stared into the distance. He stretched out his right hand, and a long sword that emitted an astonishing aura appeared in his hand. His handsome face was filled with decisiveness and sharpness. Chapter 12:22. Let's kill. It's not a bad idea to wipe out all those evil spirits in one fell swoop. A ferocious middle-aged man said as he looked at the black fog that blotted out the sky. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Roar, woo, the murderous aura in the surroundings rippled. The terrifying cries of the evil spirits and the roars of the beast-like evil spirits were deafening. Whoosh whoosh, hundreds of figures shot out from the dark clouds of murderous aura in the distant sky. Finally, they floated in the sky. A powerful aura spread out and enveloped this vast space. In the sky, the blood-robed figure at the front looked at the densely packed army of the evil purifying alliance. His eyes blazed like that of a predator. In the end, his gaze seemed to be able to penetrate space as he stared at the towering mountain peak. His sinister and cold voice spread throughout the entire sealed ancient land. "Kill. Leave no one alive." In that instant, countless evil spirits roared from all directions. Their crimson eyes surged as they let out ear-piercing screeches and roars. They instantly surged toward the army of the evil purifying alliance. The demon cleansing alliance's army surged forward, their battle cries filling the air. Endless streams of figures immediately lunged at the evil spirits that blotted out the sky, their auras sweeping across the sky. Completely cleanse the evil spirits. Everyone from the various major forces moved together. Many of them formed a formation and joined forces to attack the terrifying evil spirits that blotted out the sky and covered the earth. Together, they charged toward the terrifying evil spirits. The evil purifying alliance's army filled the sky. Their auras surged, and the space rumbled as they exploded with a fierce aura. Boom! In an instant, the winds and clouds surged in the sealed ancient land. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the dusky sky. It was a soul-shaking sight. Countless evil spirits roared. Countless scarlet eyes surged as they emitted ear-piercing roars. In an instant, they charged towards the human tide. Rumble! The demon cleansing alliance's army instantly clashed with the evil spirit army. Waves of incomparably vigorous Xian Qi surged, and dazzling runes flashed as one attack after another swept out like lightning. In this period of time, everyone had found a way to restrain the evil spirits. Those who cultivated the most yang cultivation methods attacked at the front and destroyed large swathes of evil spirits. Oh! In the blink of an eye, the Evil Purifying Alliance's army was surrounded by the Evil Spirit Army. Ghastly cries and evil spirits' roars echoed. Some people were immediately devoured. Whoosh 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 whoosh, some extremely bizarre plants suddenly emerged from the barren land. In a short period of time, the overwhelming killing intent caused rivers of blood to flow. The murderous aura was monstrous. However, at this moment, the many evil spirits that had been destroyed by the Evil Purifying Alliance's army instantly gathered together and continued to revive. It was as if there was no end to killing them. Ordinary attacks can't destroy them. Only the yang cultivation method and special methods can. Many shocked shouts rang out. Looking at the destroyed evil spirits, not only could they reform, but they could also become stronger. Although the Alliance army had long known about these changes, there were still people in the surroundings who were terrified. Attack with all your might. Kill. On the mountain peak, the experts of the various factions attacked. Numerous figures charged out, and in an instant, a huge impact erupted. Mysterious chi filled the sky. Dazzling runes surged. These experts charged into the evil spirit army, and countless evil spirits around them were shattered. Kill. In the sky ahead, the blood-robed man waved his hand. As he waved his hand, a murderous aura swept out. Swoosh swoosh, hundreds of powerful evil spirits rushed down, killing the Evil Purifying Alliance's army. Awoo! The ear-piercing screams of the evil spirits and earth-shattering battle cries resounded throughout the sealed ancient land. This kind of battle was about to erupt. There was only killing. Rumble. The earth shook, the sky collapsed, and the earth cracked. Blood flowed like rivers, and murderous aura filled the sky. Swish, 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 swish. Mu Jianshan attacked. He swung his sword, and the sword light wreaked havoc. Although it was not the yang energy, it was extremely fierce. A large number of evil spirits were destroyed by the sword light. Boom! The powerhouses of the various major forces immediately clashed with the evil spirit powerhouses. Not good. Those evil spirits hid their strength. There are at least 100 of them at the supremacy level. We've been fooled. A middle-aged man exploded. Runes shone brightly, and the energy of the yang energy was like the eruption of the sun. He directly shattered a large number of evil spirits in front of him. We've been fooled. We're in trouble now. A long-robed old man shouted. There was a faint luster flowing on his aged skin, and a bright light shrouded the surroundings. Energy ribbons swept across the sky like lightning, and swept towards a strange giant black flower in front of him. The giant flower was brownish-black, and its feathers were compound leaves. It was dozens of feet long, and its calyx was in the shape of a bell. The inner surface of the corolla was scarlet, as if blood was flowing. This enormous black blood-colored flower released a strange aura. Anyone who smelled this terrifying aura would immediately fall unconscious. Their faces would turn jet black, and their veins would be exposed. They would begin to become hideous and distorted, and their bodies would begin to fester. Devil Blood Way, how can there be such a terrifying demon spirit? Everyone retreat. The old man who attacked was Elder Yu of Evergreen Island. He was a Nirvana martial supremacy. At this moment, he was affected by the Devil Blood Way. In the evil spirit army, apart from the human-shaped evil spirits and beast-shaped evil spirits, there were also some strange plants that had formed into evil spirits. These evil spirits were more difficult to deal with than the evil spirits. However, they were extremely rare, and any existence was terrifying. Awoo! Ghosts wailed and gods howled in the sealed ancient land, and the slaughter shook the heavens. It didn't take long for the Demon Cleansing Alliance's army to start retreating under the strange evil spirit army. The terrifying evil spirits were not afraid of death, and they were strange and difficult to deal with. In addition, many evil spirit experts suddenly appeared. They were not inferior to the evil spirit experts of the evil spirit army, and it immediately made it harder for the evil spirit army to hold on. Kill. The more deaths, the better. The blood-robed evil spirit floated in the air, raising its head and breathing in the blood aura that permeated the surroundings. This monstrous blood aura was like the nourishment it needed the most. It could receive the nourishment it needed the most. Chapter 12:23. There was no end to the evil spirits, but the Alliance army was gradually suffering losses. The top experts of the various factions made their moves, charging into the depths of the evil spirit army. However, they were all blocked by the many powerful evil spirits. With the appearance of these powerful evil spirits, the experts of the Alliance army were immediately blocked. Ear-piercing sounds affected the soul, and killing intent filled the sky. Some experts were also dying. Everyone be careful. Don't panic. Talisman Masters, set up the talisman array. The rest of you, form a formation and fight together. Mu Jianxin shouted. His hair fluttered in the wind as he waved his hand. His eyes were sharp and murderous. Large amounts of evil spirits were turned into smoke, but they recovered soon after. The number of Alliance army members who died was even more. There were people dying constantly. There were also people who were controlled by the evil spirits and killed their companions. Miserable wails rang out endlessly. The battle did not last long, and the Alliance army fell into madness. The smell of blood filled the sky. Roar, miserable wails, muffled sounds of energy, the roars of meridians, and the ear-piercing howls of the evil spirits. There were also beast race experts who had transformed into their true forms. All these sounds mixed together, and it was like a symphony of hell was playing. The space of the entire sealed ancient land was trembling. Killing intent filled the sky, and blood and corpses fell to the ground. The eyes of the Alliance army were red. They were deeply trapped and could only fight and destroy the evil spirits crazily. They were not afraid of death. However, there was an endless stream of evil spirits around them. They were not afraid of death, only bloodthirsty and greedy. They surrounded the Alliance army. The more the Alliance army killed, the weaker they became. These strange evil spirits, on the other hand, became stronger and stronger. Not long after, this kind of killing gradually reached a tragic stage. Miserable wails and screams rang out endlessly. Blood dyed the space red, and the cries of ghosts and gods reverberated endlessly. The sealed ancient land was like hell. It made people shudder and their hair stand on end. Bang bang bang. Low muffled sounds rang out, and the crazy killing continued. Many small groups fell into a desperate situation and were torn into pieces by the evil spirits. There were also some people who were exhausted, and finally, the evil spirits took the opportunity to destroy them. Miserable wails and screams of ghosts and gods reverberated in the sky. Kill! Mu Jianxin's eyes narrowed. The aura around his body was fierce and murderous. His sword light swept across the sky, and a large number of evil spirits were destroyed by it. Attack with all your might, kill! Many experts from the Alliance shouted loudly, sweeping in all directions. The terrifying aura they erupted with made even the evil spirits feel restraining fear. However, these Alliance experts were also besieged by the evil spirit experts. They couldn't even protect themselves, so their situation wasn't any better. Think of a way to retreat. We can't fight recklessly. After Mu Jianxin swept away a group of evil spirits, he looked at the intense and miserable scene in the surroundings. His loud voice spread in all directions, causing everyone to start retreating. Alliance Master, there is no way out. There are evil spirits all around us. Venerable rank evil spirits are not inferior to us. We were too careless. A middle-aged man arrived behind Mu Jianxin, standing back to back with Mu Jianxin, vigilantly looking around. Everyone go all out. Don't hide your trump cards anymore. Open up a bloody path and retreat. Otherwise, there will be no chance to retreat. Mu Jianxin's gaze swept across the surroundings, and his voice reverberated in the air. He then went all out to kill the evil spirits. In the distant sky, the blood-robed man looked at Mu Jianxin. The bloody aura around his body distorted the surrounding space. A pair of blood-red eyes flickered with coldness, and then he disappeared on the spot. Qila, when the blood-robed man's figure appeared again, he was already in front of Mu Jianchen. His eyes were filled with blood-red radiance, and the bloody aura around his body seemed to form waves of air. Like a whirlpool, a blood-red light suddenly swept towards Mu Jianchen. "Young sect master, be careful. That's Shui Xie." The vigorous old man from the Saman Sword sect immediately appeared in front of Mu Jianchen. This old man's duty was to protect Mu Jianchen with all his strength. As the number one of the younger generation in the Saman Sword sect, no accident must happen to him. Now that he was outside, it could only be considered as tempering himself. Whoosh! Therefore, this old man had been secretly observing everything. As Shui Xie appeared, he waved his hand, and a sword light energy pillar instantly blocked the blood-red light pillar. Qila! The two energy pillars collided, and the runes fluctuated resplendently. However, there wasn't a loud sound of energy collision, and then everything collapsed. Deng deng! With one strike, the old man's body staggered back, and he fell into a disadvantage. After a few steps, he stabilized his body. Half-domain realm, how could he break through so quickly? Shui Xie has reached the half-domain realm. This is really bad. After this strike, the old man's expression became extremely grave. "Retreat with all your strength, retreat quickly." Hearing this, Mu Jianchen didn't hesitate and immediately notified everyone. Mu Jianchen knew that Shui Xie was the leader of this group of evil spirits. Even a martial domain realm expert couldn't do anything to Shui Xie, who was at the half-domain realm. This time, there weren't any martial domain realm experts following the evil purifying alliance. The martial domain realm experts seemed to have felt something and were recuperating, preparing to deal with a great calamity. TSKSK, a group of insignificant humans, still want to escape? It's too late. Shui Xie sneered coldly, and a monstrous bloody aura surged, covering the sky. His cold voice echoed. "Oh?" As the blood-robed man's voice rang out, countless evil spirits roared. The sound waves were ear-piercing and affected the souls. Pairs of blood-red eyes stared at the people, causing their primordial spirits to tremble. They started to attack the Alliance army with all their strength. "Everyone, fight to the end and break through with all your strength." Mu Jianchen held the long sword in his hand tightly and killed fiercely. At this moment, they could only fight to the end. Kill. Attack with all your strength and break through the encirclement. In the bloody battle, facing the crazy attacks of the evil spirits, monstrous bloody auras and ghostly cries, the eyes of the Alliance army turned red. Trembling excitement spread out from the hearts of the Alliance army. Looking at the tens of millions of their comrades who had already fallen, fear spread in their hearts. In the end, it turned into anger. Roars rang out and exploded with anger. They resisted with all their strength, wanting to open up a path of blood. "Everyone be careful. Attack together to block them." In the bloody battlefield, an old man in grayish-white robes embroidered with the pattern of a serpent dragon yelled at the disciples behind him. The old man was the Hahuan School's Honorable Ice Flood Dragon, a peak transcendence martial honorable. In front of the Honorable Ice Flood Dragon was a ferocious beast-shaped evil spirit that was hundreds of feet long. That evil spirit was like a giant python and a dragon. It was entrenched in a sea of black clouds filled with baleful aura. Its head was like a wolf's head. Its huge eyes were terrifying, like two blood-red holes looking down at the earth. Bang bang. The huge beast-shaped evil spirit soared into the sky and waved its huge tail. Dozens of Hahuan School's disciples were unable to dodge in time and were directly shattered. Large cracks appeared on the ground, and gravel shot out. "This evil beast is too strong. Everyone back off." The Honorable Ice Flood Dragon shouted. He knew that the beast-shaped evil spirit was not to be trifled with, so he directly activated his artery soul. Woo! The Honorable Ice Flood Dragon's talisman was like a white sun in the sky. A huge flood dragon image swept across the sky, and an icy aura was about to freeze the sky. The beast-shaped evil spirit was not afraid. Its eyes were even filled with greed. The stronger the cultivator, the more benefits it would gain. Its huge body was accompanied by surging baleful aura as it collided with the honorable ice flood dragon's vain soul. Rumble, the beast-shaped evil spirit was too strong. It was comparable to a chaotic element martial saint. It was one of the strongest evil spirits. The honorable ice flood dragon activated his vain soul, but he was unable to resist it. His vain soul was in a stalemate, and it froze the space. However, it was then destroyed by the baleful aura. Swish! A huge tail swept out like a ghost. Just as the honorable ice flood dragon's vain soul was shattered, it ruthlessly whipped the honorable ice flood dragon's chest. The honorable ice flood dragon felt as if he had been hit by a meteor. The terrifying baleful aura swept out, and he directly spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was sent flying. Elder, be careful. As the honorable ice flood dragon's body was sent flying, the eyes of many Hawan School's disciples turned red. They were nervous and solemn. You can't even withstand a single blow. Brr. The evil spirit roared in human language, and its eyes were cold. Its huge and ferocious head opened its bloody mouth and directly swallowed the honorable ice flood dragon, who was still sent flying. The beast-shaped evil spirit was extremely fast. It was as fast as lightning, and the surrounding space was distorted. Its bloody mouth seemed to want to tear the space apart. Elder, be careful. The Hawan School's disciples were so frightened that their faces turned pale. However, at this moment, there was no one who could help. Just the aura of the beast-shaped evil spirit was enough to make their vain souls tremble and unable to move. At this moment, just as the beast-shaped evil spirit's bloody mouth was about to swallow the honorable ice flood dragon, a figure suddenly appeared behind the honorable ice flood dragon. However, a figure silently appeared behind the venerable ice flood dragon. He placed his left hand on the venerable ice flood dragon's back and stabilized the venerable ice flood dragon. At the same time, the figure waved his right hand, and a golden light silently shot out from his palm. Chapter 12:24. Golden light tore through the air, bursting with resplendent light. Boom! Under that domineering and pure young aura, the ferocious eyes of the gigantic beast-shaped evil spirit trembled and froze for a moment. Then, golden light exploded from its ferocious mouth. Its gigantic body was forced back, and a monstrous blood aura erupted. Seeing the person who had suddenly intervened to help the venerable ice dragon, the surrounding Hawan School disciples trembled. It's sect supervisor. It's our Hawan School's sect supervisor. After a short moment, the Hawan School disciples immediately recognized the person. It was a purple-robe youth. His face was resolute and his aura was domineering. They had all seen him with their own eyes when they were at Hawan School. Who else could it be but the Demon King Du Xiaofu? The figure who had suddenly appeared was Du Xiaofu, who had rushed over. Du Xiaofu glanced around with his golden eyes and then looked down at the surprised Hehuan sect disciples. His clear voice entered everyone's ears. Brother, I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. Form a joint attack formation and break through with all your might. Yes, sect supervisor. The Hawan School disciples were instantly overjoyed, as if they had been injected with cardiac stimulants. Be careful, sect supervisor. Suddenly, the venerable ice dragon, who had just stabilized himself, shouted loudly. The gigantic beast-shaped demon wolf that had been forced back a second ago swept its gigantic tail across the air. In the next instant, it swept over with a monstrous aura like thunder. That monstrous blood aura was enough to make those who were not strong enough feel weak. Be careful, sect supervisor. The gigantic beast-shaped evil spirit attacked again in an instant, causing the Hawan School disciples below to be shocked. Evil creature. Du Xiaofu's expression was calm as he shouted indifferently. He seemed to have been prepared. He quickly shook his arm, and a golden light surged around his body. There were faint talisman inscriptions flickering on his skin. In an instant, his hand fiercely slapped out to meet the attack. Chi La. This hand was like a palm leaf fan. Wherever it passed, faint golden talisman patterns flickered and condensed, forming an arc-shaped golden space dent around the palm. In an instant, the golden runes were densely packed, layer upon layer, like the golden wings of a golden-winged rock. A domineering and ferocious aura suddenly spread out from Du Xiaofu's body and slammed into the tail of the evil spirit. Boom! A muffled sound rang out, and the space trembled as if it was about to shatter. Tiny pitch-black spatial cracks faintly appeared in the surroundings, and the huge beast-shaped tail was directly shattered into a monstrous baleful aura. Sect Supervisor is so strong. As expected of the Demon King, the surrounding Hehuan school disciples were pleasantly surprised. The terrifying beast-shaped evil spirit that the venerable ice dragon couldn't do anything to was so weak in front of Zong Zong. Xiaoyang Seal. Just as the beast-shaped evil spirit's huge tail was shattered, Du Xiaofu's figure appeared above the head of the huge and ferocious beast-shaped evil spirit like a ghost. With a soft shout, Du Xiaofu's eyes were ice-cold. Golden light burst forth, and the gold-like Xiaoyang seal was activated. It directly landed on the head of the huge beast-shaped evil spirit that couldn't dodge in time. Rumble. The golden palm print was domineering, and it was as strong as Yang. It immediately shattered the beast-shaped evil spirit, and the baleful aura runes scattered and filled the sky. This huge sound and shocking domineering aura also attracted the attention of many people on the battlefield. Someone saw the purple-robed youth in the sky from the corner of his eye and immediately cried out in surprise, "It's the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. He's here." The beast-shaped evil spirit was shattered. Suddenly, as the baleful aura runes filled the sky, a resplendent blood-red light swept out. If one looked carefully, the resplendent blood-red light was a miniature version of the huge and ferocious beast-shaped evil spirit. It suddenly rushed into the space between Du Xiaofu's eyebrows. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. Under the gazes of many experts around him, he didn't care at all. He allowed the resplendent light to rush into his mind along with a vast baleful aura. "Be careful, that beast-shaped evil spirit wants to take over your body." Someone from the Alliance shouted. That resplendent blood-red light was the soul of the beast-shaped evil spirit. These evil spirits weren't easy to completely destroy. They were extremely strange. If one wasn't careful, they would be taken over and devoured. Everyone didn't know that if Du Xiaofu really wanted to completely destroy the beast-shaped evil spirit, the soul of the beast-shaped evil spirit wouldn't be able to be preserved. It would be completely destroyed. Leaving behind the soul of the beast-shaped evil spirit, Du Xiaofu hoped that the beast-shaped evil spirit would be able to take over his body and become a tonic for his soul. With two types of spiritual lightning soul seeds fused into one, and the spiritual root fused into his soul, Du Xiaofu wasn't afraid of the beast-shaped evil spirit's soul at all. As the beast-shaped evil spirit's soul rushed into the space between his eyebrows, Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. Without any delay, his figure stepped out. The mysterious runes in front of him flickered from his body and condensed into a stalk of grass. This stalk of grass was the dark penetrating grass. Its spiritual leaves were slender and looked like a real object. The mysterious runes flickered. As the dark penetrating grass flew out, a pressure descended from the sky. The aura spread out, purifying the spiritual altar and suppressing all evil. Swish, swish. The mysterious runes on the dark penetrating grass turned into a beam of light that suppressed all evil spirits. Wherever it passed, the surrounding evil spirits were frightened. Wherever the dark penetrating grass passed through, a large number of evil spirits would explode. Bang, bang, bang. A large number of evil spirits were destroyed, and the baleful aura swept out, shocking everyone. Bang, bang, bang. Du Xiaofu made his move at the same time. His eyes were cold, and golden light burst out from his body like a golden-winged pung. Golden light covered the sky, and many powerful evil spirits were directly killed by Du Xiaofu. Their baleful aura was destroyed, and they were completely killed. That human is able to restrain us. He's too strong. Among the fearless evil spirits, some of the evil spirit experts also started to retreat with cold eyes. Du Xiaofu was wrapped in golden light, and he looked like a real demon king. At the same time, he also looked like a human-shaped giant stone bird. Wherever Du Xiaofu passed, the evil spirits would explode. He stepped on the billowing baleful aura and directly chased after the evil spirit experts. He swept through all directions, and no evil spirit could stop him. "Ha, I thought you wouldn't come." Mu Jianxin's voice echoed. He looked at the purple-robed young man who was sweeping through the evil spirits and laughed loudly. The sword in his hands swept out and swept through a large number of evil spirits. "Break out of the encirclement, things are not looking good." Du Xiaofu raised his head and said to Mu Jianxin, "Judging from the current situation, there were so many evil spirits that they couldn't kill them all. If they continued to fight, both sides would suffer. The evil purifying alliance wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. At that time, the blood on the battlefield would flow like a river and the baleful aura would overflow the sky. It would only provide the evil spirits with an endless supply of nourishment, allowing them to become stronger quickly. Break out of the encirclement with all your strength." Mu Jianxin shouted, and his sword light overflowed the sky. In fact, the evil purifying alliance's army had long been breaking out of the encirclement. Battle cries shook the heavens and earth, and the beasts roared. Some people had already activated their martial veins and meridian spirits to break out of the encirclement with all their strength. The battle was bitter. Facing those strange evil spirits, the evil purifying alliance was restrained in all aspects. They kept breaking out of the encirclement, but they did not have much success. The battlefield was dripping with blood, and countless corpses were lying on the ground. The experts of various major factions activated their Dao tools and magical tools, and used their divine abilities to protect the disciples from breaking out. All kinds of terrifying attacks converged, and they were boundless, shocking the sealed ancient land. "Monsieur, take care of that brat first." Amidst the billowing baleful aura, Shui Xie's cold voice spread out. His pair of blood-red eyes that made people shiver also stared at Du Xiaofu in the sky while he was fighting with the elder of Sa Meng Sword Sect. Qi, high up in the sky, Elder Yu of Forever Clear Island was pushed back by a strange huge black flower. That huge brownish black flower was dozens of feet long, and its calyx was shaped like a bell. It spurted out a terrifying scarlet light that was like flowing blood. It instantly appeared beside Du Xiaofu, and it released a strange aura that enveloped Du Xiaofu. That strange aura pressed down, and it made one's primordial spirit feel like falling into a deep sleep. That aura surged into the corporeal body, and the baleful aura was accompanied by a kind of overflowing poisonous aura that could make one's corporeal body rot. "It's the devil blood way." Du Xiaofu felt that strange aura, and he turned around to take a look. He recognized that it was a kind of terrifying demonic spirit, the devil blood way. It was rumored that the devil blood way had a strong poison that could make one's primordial spirit fall into a deep sleep. That devil blood way had a strange aura, and Du Xiaofu's eyes were slightly raised. He wasn't afraid, and his primordial spirit was enough to withstand that strange aura. The immortal Xian body and the golden-winged Great Peng body refinement technique had reached the third stage of tempering the god body, and he wasn't afraid of the strong poison. Boom! Du Xiaofu waved his hand, and a golden light burst out and swept out, scattering that strange aura. Chila! On top of the devil blood way's huge corolla, streaks of blood-red light burst out and turned into a black pillar of light. It was like a thunderbolt that directly enveloped Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's eyes focused, and a malevolent beast image roared out from his hand. That was the Xieji beast ability, which Du Xiaofu had comprehended in the Hehuan school. Boom! The shocking energy released by the two collided, and the Xieji beast ability was directly scattered. Du Xiaofu's expression changed. He waved his hand and the sky-shaking wings flapped out, completely blocking that black pillar of light. Peak Primordial Chaos Demon Venerable. Looking at that devil blood way, Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled slightly. That was actually a peak Primordial Chaos Demon Venerable blood way. As a demon spirit, it was one of the strongest existences among the living beings. Even an ordinary Nirvana Martial Venerable would find it difficult to resist a peak Primordial Chaos Demon spirit, let alone this strange devil blood way. Back in the sealed land of the Central Province, when the Blood Vine Evil, Beast Killer, Soul Evil and Phantom came out, they were only comparable to beast venerables. Now, there were even primordial chaos evil spirits in the sealed land of the Shang province, and there were even more venerables. The devil Bloodway in front of him was already a peak primordial chaos demon venerable, which shocked Du Xiaofu. After these evil spirits came out, their breakthroughs were too fast, and the other living beings were nourishment for their breakthroughs. No wonder there was a legend that once these evil spirits came out of the sealed land, it was enough to cause a great calamity. Die. A faintly discernible illusory black blood-colored face surfaced within the demonic blood lily's flower crown. Xue Leng laughed sinisterly as he spoke. A blood-black ray of light extended from the flower petals towards the sky. Whoosh! The petals wriggled, and the blood aura in the surroundings surged. A terrifying aura rippled like a wave, spreading out with spatial ripples. This frightening aura caused some dark black cracks to appear in the surrounding space. Then, the huge devil Bloodway expanded as if it was alive. It descended from the sky like a heavenly prison, covering thousands of feet of space. The bodies of the evil spirits and the allied army that were enveloped in the surrounding space instantly rotted and exploded. A strange aura swept out in all directions, and the strange devil Bloodway's petals seemed to be able to tear through space. In an instant, it appeared around Du Xiaofu. The devil Bloodway shrouded the void with a terrifying speed, and it was accompanied by a monstrous and strange aura, tightly wrapping Du Xiaofu within. Not good. Seeing this scene, Elder Yu of the Evergreen Island, who had just been forced back by the devil Bloodway, cried out in surprise. He knew how terrifying the devil Bloodway was. Sect Supervisor, be careful. The disciples of the Hahuan school below suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air, and their faces changed drastically. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.